Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is RedSunGamer, Son of a Podcast, episode 38. Today's date, May 27th. And in Yokohama, we have...
Steve, you got my city right.
Yay, first time is always a charm, right?
Down by the waterfront. How you doing?
I'm good. My name's Martin, and I'm in Nagoya. And today, we have a new member, I'm going to say. A new member. Kyle's still around, but he's a bit in limbo at the moment. But Kyle will be back. But our new member is... Elliot. Say hi, Elliot.
Everybody. Hi, I'm Elliot.
Hey, where are you?
I am sort of in Fukuoka and sort of in Nagasaki. Kind of in the middle of those two in a small little city called Isahaya.
Isahaya. So,
Yes.
Elliot, what do you do in Japan?
Well, I'm an ALT at 6 different Japanese schools. So
What, 6?
Yes.
I thought I had it bad. I have 4. Holy crap.
I have 4 elementary schools and 2 middle schools that I switch between. Yeah.
That's not why we have you here, though. Why do we have you here?
Oh, yeah. To talk about games.
We've got our English covered, yeah.
I don't have my English covered.
Other people might not have other opinions, but...
Yeah, so welcome to Red Sun, Elliot.
Thank you very much.
Are you a listener at all?
Yes, I am a listener. I've listened for a while now, so...
Thank
We
you.
got,
What's that,
we
Stephen?
got it covered with, Yakuza 5 is coming out. Now they've announced that they're going to be in all 5 cities, and
Oh, yeah.
it's perfect. Now we're going to have somebody from Fukuoka, because that's one of the cities in there, right? Is that Tokyo, Sapporo,
Yep, Osaka,
Fukuoka?
Nagoya.
Nagoya.
So, yeah, I'm in Nagoya. Stephen's in Tokyo, Yokohama, Fukuoka. Elliot's in Fukuoka.
Yeah.
And Kyle is in Osaka, so we need somebody in Sapporo. So if you live in Sapporo and play games, give us a shout.
Somewhere between now and December. That's when the game comes out.
Yeah. So welcome, Elliot.
Thank you very much, guys. Pleasure to be here.
So
And I'm happy to be back in the podcast. It's been a while.
yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, my father died, so I went back to the UK for the funeral. So things kind of ground to a halt.
Like you should. So
What's that?
congratulations for
Congratulations, yeah.
Say again?
You handled it like a man. You went back and you buried your father, and I think you just did it really well. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. But yeah, it was good though to go back, see my family and that. Although I was actually going to go back to the UK again in August to introduce my son to my father. The bastard couldn't wait, could he? And he left early, so I never got to introduce my son to my father.
When was the last time you went home?
3 years ago with my daughter.
Wow. Okay.
It's a bit expensive. It's expensive as enough for one person, but then with 3, it's obviously a lot more. And then obviously now there's 4 of us. So
Sorry, are you going to be going back afterwards?
yeah, we're going back in
Still planning to go.
in August. Yeah, we're going in August. So there's 4 of us going now. So it's quite expensive, and you still got to pay because he's my son is over a year. Will be over a year, so we've got to pay for a seat for him.
Ouch.
So
Is that 1 year? Is that when the point you have to start paying?
basically, yeah. As soon as they need a seat, he's going to be 1 year old, and he's going to be walking and stuff. So like he's going to need his own seat basically. So yeah, you got to pay for it. I mean, it was good when I went there last time with my daughter. She was only 6 months, so she didn't need her own seat. Obviously, because she couldn't walk or anything, she couldn't even sit up at the time. So she had like a crib. We sat at the kind of the front of the plane, and we had like this extra space, and they gave us a crib to put her in. So that was easier. But obviously now my daughter's 4, and my son will be my daughter will be 5, and my son will be 1 when we go. So we need to pay for seats for everybody. So yeah, it gets expensive. But I wanted to introduce my son to my father, but yeah, he left early. So I think that's one of the most.
That's probably the hardest thing about living overseas, I think.
Yeah. Living overseas is pretty bad. But yeah. Anyways, I don't want to bring this podcast down and everyone start crying. So let's.
Okay, it's a long podcast. We have plenty of time.
Let's lighten it up again. Let's lighten it up. So Slice of Life, Stephen, what have you been up to?
Well, last time we did our podcast we had cherry blossom season, Golden Week. The Golden Week passed. I think we had a solar eclipse. I think a lot of things have
Oh, dude, that solar eclipse. Did you see how long the news was on for? Like, talking about solar eclipse? It was on for like 16 minutes talking about a solar eclipse. I was like, really?
Don't even talk about that solar eclipse, guys. God.
Get out of it. Let's go back to Golden.
Okay, Golden Week, you're right.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, well, Golden Week, I don't know, a little slice of Japan. Every year we do a Get Lost in Japan trip. We usually go on mountain bikes. But we figured we go urban this year, so we decided to do Tokyo. And I don't know if you've ever saw the movie Lost in Translation.
Yes.
No. Seen that? You've seen it?
Yes, I have.
You know, for relaxing times, like Suntory times. Well, you know, it's basically Bill Murray plays a movie star who's getting paid $2 million to come to Japan and film a commercial for Suntory whiskey, which is what Sean Connery did back in the day. And he's cooped up in the Pacific Hyatt Hotel. He's up in this bar every single night. So we wanted to go to that bar. You know, so we've been talking about it for years, but you know, you live in Nagoya, we could never do it. So we rented these BMW bikes that if you ever come to Japan, you can come to Tokyo, and they have like some of the hotels here where you can rent bikes. In Westin Hotel, you can rent a BMW bike for $40. Not a car, but the closest thing.
Still.
And yeah. And then
A bike as in what? A push bike or a motorbike?
Push bike.
Right, okay.
And you style around. You get 24 hours. So we tried to figure the ultimate leg 24-hour trip, and we went from the Shinjuku Hotel where he's up at this. You're up basically on like the 40th floor. You're kind of like you feel like in Laputa, you know, like the city in the sky.
Oh, Castle in the Sky.
You're just kind of or like Independence Day, you know, like a ship over the city.
Mm-hmm.
Two very different movies.
Two very different movies. Yeah, and so they have like this really ritzy place up there, just like a bar in the sky kind of thing. And we dropped about $150 between the two of us. But you get these, Suntory Times has got their whiskey aged by year, and like the 19-year or the 17-year whiskey, the Hibiki they call it, is their most expensive one, and it's just like 2 digits of whiskey, and it's about $25. So we did that. But what's funny is, you know, in the movie, you know, there's all these like foreigners and everything there, but in reality, you know, it was like there was just like a bunch of lecherous, wealthy businessmen. You remember that prostitute in the movie who was at him going, you know, lip my stockings.
Oh God.
Hey, you lip, and Bill Murray's like, lip. What do you mean lip? And she's saying rip, but she can't say it. But it's like the whole room was full of these prostitutes. It felt like who are, you know, that caliber. It was completely different from how they had it in the movie. You know, no Scarlett Johansson. But then after that, we went all throughout the night, and they had sushi in Tsukiji in the morning with a beer. And it was like, this is something you can only do in Tokyo, what I just explained, basically. And if you ever come to Tokyo, that is definitely hit me up, and I'll give you the full details on that.
Oof, that sounds like a good time.
You should see check
expensive
out
as
Lost
well.
in Translation, though. Good movie, Martin.
It sounds expensive. I'm not into that anymore. Yeah, being
$25 for like some funky pretzels, and
I love them pretzels.
yeah,
it's free the first time, and then they sneak it on the bill the second time.
right.
Of course, the seating charge.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's all good when you're single and all that, and you can do that, and you can afford those kind of expenses. But yeah, when you got a family and stuff, stuff like that.
Just to wrap it up, I mean, you know, when you see something in a movie, you know, and then you actually
Experience
get to go there in real life, it was really cool. It's like, you know, like you see like a football game on TV, it looks really big, and then you go to the stadium, you're like, oh, it's kind of tiny, and you can, it was kind of surreal actually sitting there, like Bob Harris sipping on some Hibiki whiskey. A lot of people do that. They come to Tokyo and they've got this thing. They have to go there. It's like they have to climb Mount Fuji. No, they got to go to this bar and sip Hibiki whiskey.
I had a friend who got off the plane, first time to Japan, got off the plane at Narita, got on a bus from Narita to Mount Fuji, and climbed Mount Fuji on the day he arrived in Japan.
Oh my God.
So jet lag, mountain sickness.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
I climbed my third day in Japan.
As soon as he arrived, he did that, and then he watched the sunset. The sunrise.
The Japanese Goraiko.
Yeah, he watched the sunrise, and he was like, "Yeah, best day ever." And I was like,
life-changing experience.
On my third day in Japan in 1997, I did that. And yeah, you have jet lagged and mountain sickness, and you're just completely tanked when you get down.
First thing you do is go drink a beer.
No, they have lavender ice cream in Mount. Purple ice cream.
Excellent.
So, Kyle, what do you mean? Kyle's not here. Jesus Christ. Sorry.
Happened.
Elliot. Okay.
Reese's Pieces.
So, Elliot, anything?
What have I been doing? I've been busy with work, but I guess if you go further back in time to Golden Week, I got to see some friends I haven't seen in a long time from college, and they'd never come to Nagasaki or Fukuoka before. So for our listeners, Kyushu is a very different area of Japan in a lot of ways. It's very laid back, and the people who live here, I guess the best way to describe them is they really don't care about anything, sort of in a good way. They're kind of just whatever.
Level 5 doesn't care about video games, right?
Yeah.
They developed there. No.
But people are very laid back down here, very nice, very easy to communicate with. And a lot of them were surprised because they were coming in from, the Kansai area or from further up toward Tokyo. And they were just blown away by how, forward a lot of people who worked at stores and restaurants are here. It's a lot easier to get small talk going. And anybody who lives in Japan knows that small talk with, someone who works behind a register doesn't exist, You go to a convenience store and you're like, oh, how are you? And they look at you like they're a deer in the headlights,
Especially if you're a foreigner who speaks Japanese.
You can say, I want 50 coffees, and they'll say, for here to go.
Exactly, yeah.
You're like, I'm just one guy.
But, and they had a good time, showed them around Nagasaki. I bumped into some of my students, and, they see me with, 2 girls and 1 guy, and they're like, Elliot sensei, you have a lot of girlfriends. And I'm like, no, what? So, how did you draw that conclusion? You go back to school the next week and they're like rumors floating around that Elliot sensei is dating 3 girls and a guy. And you're like, fine, whatever, kids. But, just been busy. Sports day, which is basically you go to work on a Sunday and watch your kids run in races all day.
Yeah, but it's like the Olympics. They take it so seriously. It's unbelievable.
So much marching.
Yeah, marching bands everywhere.
Ever see for your entire life. They, racing. And I didn't really help setting up at all because I'm not at that middle school consistently enough. So I just kind of went as a spectator, but it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. Got to see a lot of my students just kind of kick back in a more casual situation, which is always nice. But
it sure is. Sure is.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
How many years have you been here? How many years are you looking at?
So far, consistently, I've been here for 2 years, and I was also here a year back in college when I was a study abroad student. I was up in Kyoto, Osaka at the time.
And before that, you were a Middlebury boy, right?
Yes, I went to school at Middlebury College in Vermont, in America.
For those, if you're thinking of studying Japanese and you've got your parents' money to burn, that is the place to go, is what I've heard.
Definitely. Their language program, period, if you want to go to study any kind of language, I highly recommend Middlebury College. And they
expel you if you speak English, right?
There's a summer program, the Middlebury Summer Schools, and you go there for 9 weeks, and each language has a separate school, and you go there for 9 weeks, and you take intense language classes every single day. And the entire 9 weeks you're there, you're not allowed to speak English. You take a pledge where you're only allowed to speak the language you're studying. In my case, it was Japanese.
So if you don't speak Japanese, do you make the pledge in Japanese? Or... Is that as far as the English goes, or how does that work?
Well, that's an interesting question because the first years who go there who've never studied Japanese before, they're given 3 weeks where it's okay to speak English to one another because they have no idea how to speak Japanese. But in that first 3 weeks, they will learn enough Japanese that they will be able to have basic communication. And so after that period of time, the pledge applies to them like it applies to anybody else, which is really cool. But the crazy thing about it is when your 9 weeks are up and the principal of the school lifts the language pledge, you've literally spent 9 weeks surrounded by Japanese, and you've kind of started to forget how to speak English. And so he lifts...
Wait. But aren't you surrounded by people who are just speaking atrocious Japanese into your ears all day long?
You are, but you start to get used to it, and it becomes the norm. And so
it's pidgin Japanese all day long, right?
Sort of. I mean, by the end of it, like most people can hold like a pretty fluent conversation. But
which is pretty crazy if you're going in there with no knowledge. In 9 weeks, you're going to be speaking basic Japanese.
There was a 70-year-old lady who went in because she just decided on a whim that she wanted to learn Japanese, and by the end of the 9 weeks, she was pretty good. I mean, that's a 70-year-old lady, so don't let anybody ever tell you that age has anything to do with learning, you know? But, yeah.
My parents still argue over how to pronounce Nagoya, so it's kind of funny. But no, I mean, just going, Kyle and I both say at Kansai Gaidai, and definitely the people who came from Middlebury had the higher ground, had the best start, best foot forward. They already knew like 1,000 kanji or something like that.
What?
Yeah, by the time I finished Middlebury, how much kanji did I know? Or how much kanji, quote unquote, was I supposed to know? Definitely somewhere around like 1,200-ish.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was big time at that. I remember because your first year in Japan already they can kind of basically read 80% of what's around them.
Yeah, exactly.
That was pretty impressive. So if you're thinking about where to go, look at Middlebury.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great place, period, too. So
is that expensive?
I mean, it's an American college, so yeah. But oh man, if you want to get into numbers, I think right now the tuition for a year without any kind of help whatsoever is $50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah. Like $50,000 for like actual school, not summer school. For actual
for a year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I retract on my
as you can imagine, I had help.
How do people in America afford such things?
They don't.
Don't look at me, man.
You pay $50,000 to do that.
Yep.
And then you got to pay for all your medical stuff. How the hell do people survive?
Yep. That's a big problem right now, actually. But
damn.
Yeah.
I think I got it lucky. Well,
I think every place is coming here and working really hard. So I mean, don't get discouraged. You can just come here and study hard and learn.
A year in Japan is irreplaceable, honestly. If you're coming here to learn the language, you'll get a lot out of it. So
right. You might as well bring your $50,000.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, wouldn't it be cheaper just to come here for a year with $50,000?
Yeah.
You could do it with with 10% of that.
Well, I mean, a friend of mine, when we were juniors in college, she came to Japan to study abroad, right? And the way it worked is that, like, she would go from paying Middlebury's tuition to paying the Japanese college's tuition. And literally, it went from $50,000 to $10,000 in Japan, approximately. So she was paying, like, $10,000 for the entire year in Japanese school compared to the $50,000 back at home.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And she loved it. She was so happy. No more loans.
Wow. Why wouldn't more people do that then?
I don't know. It's complicated, I guess.
Wow. Okay.
Bizarre. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that pricey.
It's very pricey. NYU, for instance, New York University, which I was also sort of aiming for when I was trying to be a film student, was like $51,000 for the year. So, yeah, it's expensive.
Damn.
You could eat a lot of sushi in Japan for that.
Oh, yeah. Play a lot of video. Well, maybe not that many video.
You could drink a lot of hibiki even,
It's very true.
Jeez. Well, I'm glad that I was never put in that kind of situation when I was a kid. Much cheaper just to go.
Right.
Very true.
Okay, let's move on. I was going to talk about my illegal street racing.
What?
Your illegal street racing?
Not me.
Oh.
I got a friend. He's from he's from New Zealand.
Is his name Vin Diesel?
No, but he's pretty big, just like Vin Diesel.
Oh, damn.
His name's Ewan, and he's from New Zealand, and he's a big car head. And I knew he was a car head, but I didn't know he was into illegal street racing. Mainly drifting.
Oh, man.
So we met.
So where does he go to what are they called? Toge? The winding roads?
No, he went to on the Friday. I went to his house, and I met up with him and one of his friends, and they said, "Oh, let's go out." And I was like, "Okay, where are we going?" And he said, "Oh, just follow me in the car." So okay, cool. So I jumped in my car, I followed them, and we drove out to Nagoya Port, and I was like, "Where the hell are we going?" So I get to somewhere in Nagoya Port. I didn't know where I was. I had no idea where I was. I'd never been there before in my life. And there's a Lawson on this corner, and the Lawson car park was absolutely packed. I've never seen a car park so packed of illegal street racing cars, all drift cars.
Oh man!
And I was like, "What's he doing?" And so he pulls into the car park, and as I pull in, some guy in his, I think it was a Toyota Chainsaw, it's completely dropped down to the floor. He's got racing drift tires on. Yeah, basically, it was a poor man's version of Fast and the Furious. The cars were not as luxurious as they are in Fast and the Furious, but these are all like proper drift cars, and they're all like what is it, like Yankees?
So they have the crazy Yankee haircut?
Yeah, basically they're all like Yankee people and stuff. And so basically,
were there like spectator?
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of spectators on the side watching. And I pulled into the car park, and as I pulled in, some guy pulled out of the car park and then just immediately did a U-turn, but like obviously put his foot down on the floor and did a 180, and then basically just drifted everywhere all down the road. And I was like,
wow,
okay, right. If something goes down, I've had it, like because the police were all over the place. The police was just sitting there watching them, and I was like,
what? Seriously?
Yeah, they were just watching them.
That's a pretty good job.
I guess
undercover cop.
Well, I didn't. To be honest, I didn't stick around. I didn't stick around
because subculture of cop life.
Well, I didn't stick around. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go because I don't. If anything goes down, I don't want to be involved in it.
Yeah, exactly. You're the foreigner. Don't want to.
Exactly, but I mean, everyone else is in like illegal street racing cars and stuff, and I'm in a Nissan
was he
Cube.
The only foreigner besides you?
No, there was a lot of Brazilians.
Right. Yes. We got a big Brazilian population because of the automobile industry here.
Yeah, so there was a lot of Brazilians, and there was a few other white folk as well. But yeah, I watched like two people just fly down the road, just doing drifts all over the road and donuts and stuff in the middle of this intersection. And
sounds like something they do in Saudi Arabia.
No, it was not, because in the car park there was like they were changing tires, they were changing disc brakes on the cars and stuff, like right there in the car park of it. And I was expecting like the police just to come up and just say, okay, well your car's not going anywhere because it obviously you've taken the wheels off it and stuff, and you're changing it, so we'll just take it away.
You're a prime suspect.
But they didn't do anything. But I was like, I'm not going to stick around, so I just went home.
That's great. So I got to ask, was the Lawsons open?
Yeah. There was regular people there. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I mean, if I would have saw that in
Japan,
if I would have saw that in England, I would have just drove right past. I wouldn't have bothered stopping at that convenience store. But there was regular people buying stuff with their kids and stuff, and like they were getting back into the car. But so while that's going on, there's people doing donuts and drifts and stuff. It's quite bizarre. But I don't think I'll go again in my own car. Maybe I'll go if I'm with Ewan and he gets in his car, because he's also got a drift car as well. Did
he put into the car? Did he say how much he sunk into it?
So far, because he bought the car second hand, and he's actually he's a professional like panel beater and stuff, so he can make his own like skirts and stuff, and he can do all of that type of stuff. He can drop the car himself. He can adjust all of the suspension and stuff like that. So he said he spent about 500,000 yen so far.
That's about a week at Middlebury.
Yeah. So I mean, money wise, he hasn't put a lot into it because he's been able to do everything himself. He did the paint job on his car himself. You know, nice. he dropped the suspension. He's put turbos in it. Yeah, it's all kinds of stuff he's dropped in it. But yeah, I mean, it looks like fun, but I ain't gonna do that.
It's probably a good idea.
But yeah, so I just drove away and I was like, okay, you nice one. You used to be crazy.
You could always pimp his ride by putting an Xbox in the back or something.
Yeah, right. No, but it was just really bizarre that you pull up there and it was a convenience store that was still open, and there was regular people buying stuff at this convenience store. Yet the car park was full of illegal street racing cars and people doing donuts and drifting down the street, and the police were just sitting there watching them.
Was there like a neighborhood in the area? Like,
no, it's literally in the middle of nowhere.
That's probably why they can get away with it.
So.
Otherwise, you'd have all those houses calling and complaining about noise.
If they all agree to go to one area, they'll not condone it, but turn the other way
while watching.
Right,
while watching.
I mean, I wanted to film a little bit of it, but he said don't. He said don't. He says because if they get caught, obviously they can. The video is is evidence.
Yeah,
and it can incriminate people and stuff. He said, "Don't bother. If they want to keep the scene going, they have to do it so like no one takes photographs, no one takes video of it. People just meet up there and
forget it happened, right?
Yeah, and then disappear the next day or whatever. But yeah, it was quite bizarre. So that was quite funny. But yeah, I didn't stay there very long. But maybe I should. I don't know. Anyways, let's move on. Games.
Yeah,
games.
What have you been playing? So, yeah, I'm going to kick off with Elliot. What have you been playing, Elliot?
What have I been playing?
Yeah.
I've been kind of on a little bit of a RPG kick recently.
Oh, like Kyle, right?
A little bit like Kyle, yeah.
Excellent.
I might have had something to do with him falling in love with Trails in the Sky and Sora no Kiseki, but...
Oh, really?
That's off the record.
Is that you?
Maybe.
Excellent.
But actually, first, I finally played the Asura's Wrath DLC, the Nirvana DLC.
The final chapter, right?
The final chapter without spoiling anything.
Right. I actually finished the game as well.
Yeah, I believe it was 800 yen, and you get 4 chapters, and they're insane.
Oh, really?
They're absolutely crazy. I mean, you think the stuff you do in the main game is crazy, and then... yeah, it just continues to escalate to the most ridiculous proportions you could possibly imagine.
Right, well, so the button mashing gets worse?
No, the button mashing doesn't get worse. I'd say it's about like the same level. But there's some really cool set pieces and action sequences. It's the same kind of balance between like third-person brawler and like quick-time events that you're sort of used to already.
Right.
But yeah, the whole thing just gets more and more crazy in a good way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because what I played of it, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
I finished it. Obviously, what was on the disc, and it was amazing. There was like, if you've got good track and field skills, it'll come in handy playing this game.
Definitely.
Like the pencil, the rough band.
Yeah, the pencil or the ruler.
Right,
exactly.
Or the ruler.
The ruler thing. But I mean, to be honest, I like the button mashing sections because the amount of like effort that you needed to put in, it kind of conveyed the rage that Asura was feeling.
Exactly, and like that's I'm not a big QuickTime event guy.
No, me neither.
I hate having to start. Like I love Resident Evil 4, for instance, but I hated the occasional QuickTime event where like you'd fail it and then you'd die and have to do the whole thing over again.
Right.
That irritates me to no end. But Asura's Wrath, like I felt in general like. A, because if you failed, it never reset the game. That was a huge positive.
Right.
And B, it always felt like the button presses were really coinciding with something he was doing on the screen. Like, I really like the ones where you pull the analog sticks apart to represent him spreading his arms apart.
Yes.
Right.
That kind of stuff, like, helped me feel like I was actually controlling Asura.
It's pretty dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It totally is. Like, and you kind of put more force into it than you need to. Like, anytime I'd ever move the analog sticks to, like, move his arms, I would do it, like, with a lot of force. For some reason.
Did you go, "Hooah," when you did it?
Like,
yeah, they needed special controller for that. Definitely.
Exactly. Like, I'd kind of get worried I'd break my controller at times because I was like, yeah, Asura, ugh! But, yeah, the DLC is fantastic. If you've played the main game and loved it, like, there is absolutely no reason you shouldn't go out.
Wait. We talked about this a bit, and we had a little bit of concern about, I don't know if you listened to the podcast.
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
And how there's in-between levels and then how it wraps up at the end. And
yes.
So if it sounds like you're really happy with the content, so
yes.
how do you feel paying the money and the way it was distributed?
Well, first of all, this is important to note since Capcom has kind of been very sketchy about this lately. It's not on disc. The DLC is not on the disc.
It's not.
Because the download for it is huge. I believe it's a couple gigs, if I'm correct. So actually, I had to leave my PS3 downloading for a little while before I could even play it. But yeah, it took me, in terms of length, it took me an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete for 800 yen. And it's
so that's about probably double the amount that we paid for Gravity Daze then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Content about the same, but double the price.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing about it is that, like, the game itself is set up in arcs. You know, you have the first arc, you have the second arc, you have the third arc. And it's kind of split up like a TV series in that way, you know?
Right.
Like, one arc includes this section of the storyline, this one concludes that, this one concludes that. And arguably, the third arc in the main game concludes the main story that the game was telling up until that point.
Right.
Except for a single plot thread that was kind of vague for the whole time and sort of in the back of your head. And trying to be very vague right now.
Are you talking about the spider?
Yeah, the spider.
Okay.
And I mean, that is the core of the fourth arc.
Right.
And
I was expecting that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's incredibly satisfying. And when the credits roll at the end of it, I regretted not a single yen that I spent on this game, honestly.
Awesome.
I love the experience.
When you bought this game, didn't you buy this game on recommendation from people on Twitter?
I did. There were a few people who were playing it and really liked it. And, you know, most of the press wasn't particularly impressed, but there were some places like Giant Bomb really liked it. I think they gave it like either a 4 or 4.5 or like a 5-star rating. Like they really loved it. Some places gave it like a D. So I mean, the ratings are all over the place.
Well, Brad rated. I think he reviewed it, right?
Yes, I believe so.
And they reviewed the downloadable content as well.
I'm not sure actually. I never looked into.
No, I think Ryan just downloaded it and played it. I don't think they reviewed it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I mean, it was really just the word of mouth of the people who had actually played the main game and really liked it. And that's what I found is that people who played the demo only weren't really all that impressed. But a lot of the people who played the full game came away from it really enjoying the experience they had.
Absolutely.
And that's what sort of told me, okay, well, the people who are actually giving this a shot, like a real shot, seem to really fall in love with this game. So even though it's kind of pricey, I kind of want to take the dive anyway because I already like the aesthetic. It was just a matter of...
It's beautiful, right?
Is the gameplay going to piss me off or what? And it didn't. I had a great time, so...
Yeah, I was really satisfied when I finished it. I mean, some of the QuickTime events, they go on for like 25 seconds of like mashing, and it's really tough.
It is. It's really hard.
But I mean, because you play on
I play.
What level did you play on?
I play. I at first I was playing it on easy because I know I didn't have a lot of time to play it, so I wanted to try and get through it as quick as possible.
Right.
And then I felt like you did. This is a bit too easy. You know, I was going through it. I hadn't died, so I reset it and then I went back and then I put it on normal.
Okay, because I've been playing through it on hard, but I haven't finished it yet.
Right. So I can't imagine what it's like on harder. I mean, if the QuickTime events are any longer or what? Because
Elliot, what did you play on?
I played it on hard, and I was okay for most of the time, except toward the end. Like, the final boss gave me some problems. And in the DLC, there's some legitimately tough areas on hard mode where you're just like, oh my god, why am I dying so much? But, yeah, it gave me a little bit of a challenge.
But it was it's definitely a challenge that's worth sticking to, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because when I finished it, I kind of had to take it back and sell it. I needed to sell everything I've done because, like, this past month has been very expensive for my family and all, going back to the UK and stuff like that. So, unfortunately, I had to sell it. I mean, I've already bought it twice. I bought it the first time and then sold it, then bought it again because I regretted selling it. So, yeah. And then
the point where you just couldn't even show your face at the place without looking retarded.
Yeah, well, I told on the last podcast, I actually got my own copy back. You know, I sold it to the store and then went back and then rebought it, and it was the copy that I'd sold to the store, and the dude just laughed at me. So yeah,
that's amazing.
It was pretty funny, but yeah, it's definitely a game. I mean, if you're on the fence about it, I mean, maybe you should wait until like it's in a sale. It's probably on sale already anyway because it's already been out for about 2 months now.
Yeah, and it's been selling like crap. So
yeah,
it's probably a great gift game. Like, just buy it for somebody and say, here you go.
Hey, this is Japan for you. This is how messed up Japan is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely Azura's Wrath. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's move on. Anything else you were playing, Elliot?
I played a lot of... Actually, because of the show, I picked up Binary Domain.
Ooh.
About, I think during Golden Week, actually.
And, on 360 or PS3?
PS3.
Oh, sorry, you don't have a 360, right?
No, I don't have a 360 anymore. But, and I haven't beaten it yet, but I've gotten maybe like 7 hours on it. And it's funny because I used to be a huge shooter guy. I used to love first-person shooters, third-person shooters. Like, that used to be like me all the time.
Wow.
I just kind of, like, I got tired of them. Like, it just stopped being attractive to me.
What did you grow tired of it? What game were you finishing up?
I don't know, like, first-person shooters sort of turned me off to the third-person ones, too. Like, I don't know, all the Call of Duties it became a little bit too much. Like, the Killzones, the Call of Duties, the Resistance games, like, just
one after another.
One after the other, not enough to differentiate, like, one from the other. But, ironically, the most fun I've had with third or first-person shooters, in this case, I guess third-person shooters, in the past, like, 5 years, have both been Japanese games. And the first one being Vanquish from Platinum Games.
Right.
And
it's a game this podcast endorsed heavily. And
Binary Domain, which I didn't think I was going to like at all. But
wow, okay, I'm glad to know because I put myself on the line speaking about it.
It's just one of those games that has, like, it looks so generic. Like, you see the poster for it and you're like, wow. How much more... You look at the characters, and you're like, this is so generic. You have the big black guy, you have the Asian chick, you have, the white guys, and, like, a robot. Okay.
Right.
But then you actually start
to play... really bad French accent.
Yeah. And then you start to play it, and, like, it just has, like, the robot designs just have this amazingly clean, cool-looking aesthetic.
Yeah.
And it's fun. The characters are funny and, like, pretty well written. And the story is interesting, and, like, it's all there, Like, you have more than just the gameplay reason to keep you playing, which...
And there's a bunch of plot twists in there that...
Yeah, there's been a lot
really go deep.
And, like, I don't know. I actually haven't looked into this game much, so I didn't realize that the folks behind Yakuza had anything to do with this until I bought the game and actually looked at the logo. And it all made sense after that. Like, this, in some ways, it really does.
The heavy drama of Yakuza is totally
exactly. It's right there. But so I've been enjoying that, and I've really been enjoying Fire Emblem on the Nintendo 3DS, the new one.
Oh, really?
It's nice to finally get mention of that on this podcast.
Yeah. A lot of people have been saying, have you played Fire Emblem? I was like, no. Should I? So why should I play this?
Okay, I've never
sell us on this.
I've never played a Fire Emblem game before. It just kind of missed me every single time. Like, the Wii ones kind of looked like crap, so I was never interested. Like, it just, like, nothing about it really screamed to me, but for some reason the artwork for this new one, Fire Emblem Awakening, was really appealing to me. So I thought, okay, why the hell not? Let's give it a try. And I kind of burned out on strategy RPGs a while ago because they're just so complicated, and I don't have the time anymore to just sit down and devote hours to like managing units and all this craziness. But for some reason, like, and I don't know if this is just a Fire Emblem thing in general, so keep that in mind, but at least for this specific game, like, it's just so easy to get drawn in to all of that and have it feel painless. I mean, you know, you have dozens upon dozens of units with their own characters and their own personalities and their own skill sets and stuff like that. And so you kind of grow really attached. It kind of reminded me of Valkyria Chronicles. I don't know if any of you guys have played it.
Absolutely love that.
But, and PS3. You know, of course, there's a whole system where if your character dies, they're dead. And of course, if that's not really something you're into, you can play on the casual mode, which when your character dies, they're gone for the battle, but they're back after you complete the quest or the mission.
Right.
I'm playing on the normal mode, so when characters die, they just die. The negative side of that is I'm really kind of OCD about that kind of thing. So when a character dies, I automatically reset the system. You
don't cry, do you?
Yeah, I got to save them. I can't let them die. But
so you do cry?
I do, yeah.
Did Final Fantasy make you cry?
Not so much these days.
Maybe in a different way.
Exactly, yeah. But the music is incredible. Like the speed at which battles go, it just, you're not sitting there watching things happen. Like, it feels like you're actually doing, which I think is a big difference. You have a lot of customization in terms of the way you can, like, get your units to marry one another, and then they'll have children later on who will become units later as well, which is really cool. There's this whole partner system where, like, depending on the characters you have next to each other when they attack, look at different stat benefits, like, you know, increased attack, increased speed, increased defense. And so you're constantly thinking about where you're trying to put your units and, like, what position is best based on what the relationship to one another is. So, you know, if you have a married couple that's in battle, you're going to want them next to each other, but you also have to be careful because if you're, you know, if one character's wife gets killed, then that's going to be a huge stat decrease.
Does he get out his
bottle? He doesn't rage like Asura's Wrath or anything?
No, there's no wrath, unfortunately. But the big thing, though, and something I haven't really seen anybody talking about, is that at the beginning of the game, you create a character that is essentially you. Okay, so it's a player-created character. You already have a main character in the game, but you're also supposed to create this character. And initially what I thought was they were just going to be kind of a random, not really important substitute for, like, you, like, kind of your representation in the game, but not really a part of the story. But this character is essentially the main character, and you can choose his or her voice, gender, looks, everything. And they have speaking lines. They have a huge role in the story. And, like, they can carry over into other people's games, too, using Street Pass and stuff. So it's actually kind of remarkable and really unexpected, too. But I've poured, 25 hours into the game so far. I've been kind of slow about it, but I'm loving it. And, I'm kind of feeling bad that I've been missing out on the Fire Emblem series all this time.
Does this have any online play?
No online play, but it does have free DLC and paid DLC. And when you walk past someone who's also playing the game, you can send your units into their 3DS and vice versa, and you can fight them in separate quests and gain their loot or recruit their members as well, which is really cool. So,
is this something that you'd recommend to other people who are into the RPGs, JRPGs?
If you like RPGs and maybe haven't ever been big on strategy RPGs, definitely give this a shot, because it's a lot quicker, faster paced, a little bit more user friendly, much more intuitive, and you're not going to spend hours getting lost in menus, which is arguably the biggest hurdle for a lot of people, I think.
Is this friendly to import?
I mean, it's an RPG, so those aren't typically.
I mean, what I'm saying is, some people have basic knowledge of hiragana, katakana, and you can get through an RPG with very, very little kanji. Some of them. Is this kanji heavy?
I mean, it's about as kanji heavy as any Japanese RPG, I think. But at the same time, I know the Fire Emblem community has gotten very used to getting the shaft when it comes to having translated Fire Emblem games. So I imagine if you're a Fire Emblem fan, the language barrier isn't going to do much to hold you back. But I would argue that this is probably going to get announced for an English release come E3.
Who is the publisher in Japan?
I think it was just Nintendo.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, because it's one of their bigger series here. It's been selling like hotcakes too.
They're not going to publish it then because like they did the same thing with Last Story and stuff like that, right?
I mean, yeah, but the Fire Emblem series kind of has a weird history in the West in terms of getting English language releases. So, but I would argue that enough money has been poured into this game that I think it would be shocking if Nintendo didn't announce it for the 3DS in the West come E3. So I'd say hold off on importing until this month passes along.
So, but if you were studying Japanese, you had the basic knowledge of Japanese. Is this something that you'd think people would find appealing?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Yeah,
because we get a bunch of questions saying, I mean, is it import friendly? And I know that a lot of people who were asked, is it import friendly? They have basic knowledge. They can read and write hiragana and katakana. Yeah, I'm just wondering if it would be suitable for somebody who was like studying. You know,
I mean, definitely there's some stuff you're just not going to get, like weapon names and stuff like that. But I mean, you'll be looking up kanji while you're playing along and stuff. But at the same time, it's kind of a good learning tool. Something to keep in mind is it's not fully voiced. So you don't have that additional benefit of hearing the voice reading the text, which is probably the biggest barrier, I think, for some people. So keep that in mind.
Okay, that's good. So you definitely recommend this then?
Definitely, it's great.
Okie dokie. Right, let's change gear. Steven.
Yo.
Tokyo Jungle. We both played this, right?
Yeah. Went down to Akihabara. Wantville.
Guys.
Yeah, let's make Elliot jealous.
Day, and I think you got it the following
week. You played it on the 12th, right? 12th of May.
I was there, and Kotaku was there.
Kotaku, right?
They were getting their coverage.
Trying to, you mean?
That, and then just a large swath of people from all ages were there, just enamored with the whole thing, which was kind of a second spectacle unto itself, because usually you just get the freaks who just come out of the Akihabara-ites. I don't know, whatever you call those people.
The Akibajin.
What do you call them?
The Akibajin. I don't know.
Akibajin? Yeah. the creep shift. But it was. I just think like watching the father and the son, or the mother and daughter, everybody there just trying to figure out what the hell this is.
Well, that was what my observation was. The demographic was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, there was kids, there was adults, there was office workers, there was women, and the thing that seemed to made them curious about the game was the animals, and I guess they had some kind of connection. I guess they had a dog that's featured in the game. I don't know,
because there's a wide variety of animals, but the way they're moving is very just generic in a way. And it almost makes it like kind of like in a manga level where it's sort of ridiculous, and that is kind of nostalgic, and they're looking at it going, why is it moving like that? It would never move like that in real life. And that was part of the charm of it, where almost you're calling out all these problems with the game, and then the developers are just sort of sitting there smiling going, yeah, that's how we wanted it though. And everyone's kind of cool with that. You're pointing out the problems, but that's its charm. That's kind of like what Tokyo Jungle is to me, and like watching all of the different developers, because they've done the rounds with all these famous developers and had them play the game. And actually, the last person to do it was Keiji Inafune.
He had some funny things to say.
Yeah, he did.
Such as?
Well, he was disappointed. It was a bit sad that they didn't have zombies instead of animals.
Yeah, if he hadn't made it, he'd have zombies, he said.
And he asked for more realistic movements, but I think like all these are like real low level qualms. Everyone's just kind of like, oh no, but it's totally cool that you're not doing it. I see you're going like the non-realistic way.
Right.
It's really weird. Like, people are like critiquing it and criticizing it, but you're cool with it. You're cool with it not being that way at the same time. I can't figure it out. I'm like, yeah, like he'll claim a territory, he'll just sniff it, and like 9 people out of 10 will be like, well, why isn't he peeing on the ground? And then the developers will be like, oh, Everyone's like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, we know. And it's just kind of, and it's like, what? But that's kind of what the game is. It's kind of out there in left field doing its own thing. It's like an unventured territory. So because it's so fresh, people are totally cool with all the shortcomings of it. It's kind of like the general feel I get.
So what did you play of it?
Right, so they had a bunch of demos going around because they had like for my place, my station I was at, they had some debug kits there. So they kept like crowding the menus and like secretly going in and like changing things all the time.
Oh really? I never saw that. Didn't see them do that. I didn't see them do anything like that at my place.
Oh really?
No.
Oh yeah, they were in. I think it was because of the first day and they were still trying to work out everything.
Oh okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So they were like three guys would get in front of the monitor and like go in the debug menu, and then like they'd come back out of it in a few minutes, and it'd be like a different character. Okay. But I played with the Pomeranian, which was the standard one, and then I also played
the Beagle.
I played the Beagle, and I played a Golden Retriever.
Okay.
No dinosaur.
No, no, I couldn't get them to do that. I was trying to look in the debug menu and see if there was anything there, but they didn't have the characters in that menu.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of characters that they in this menu select screen, but I didn't see any dinosaurs. I saw crocodiles and stuff, and
right?
Kangaroos and that, but I didn't see any.
I did ask him if you can play as the dinosaurs, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you can play them." I'm just like, "Oh man, I want to play. I want this game so bad." Because I bought it on the spot. Usually, you do a pre-order, but actually, you with money down, they gave you like this little drink cup.
Wow, you put the money down already?
I put the money down right there, and it was even out of my way.
Wow.
So I just wanted it right away. So yeah, I got that locked in.
Yeah,
but,
I got mine because my pre-order bonus was the Panda download.
Oh, okay.
In different stores, they seem to have they seem to have a different incentive to buy it. Well, the incentive is a character download.
Yeah,
they're all different.
Yeah, down here we got the black Pomeranian.
Is it not the black and white one?
There's black and white.
It's the black one. We got the black one down here.
Oh, okay, so some of the stores here, you get both. You get the black and white one, and in Geo you get the Panda. I wanted the Panda because I can't stand Pomeranians. I'd rather feed them to the bears than.
I just want to wait. I just want to wait down at the store like the loyal dog Hachiko. Just wait for the thing out.
Yeah,
I want it now.
Probably tomorrow.
So, what did you do in game, Steven?
Right. So the game. All right. I don't know if I'll be repeating a little bit, but it showed the introduction for the first time.
Right, I didn't see the intro. I was just thrown straight into it.
Okay,
first.
Yeah. So it's like it shows this Pomeranian like he's laying on his side on the floor, and he's surrounded by all these strewn wrappers around the dog, and he's adorned in this like little red sweater. And I'm narrating the narrator, but he's like, his life as a pet dog is about to come to an end. There's beer cans and potato chips around the dog, and he's just kind of like barely moving. And it's like the tale of a pet on its rise to independence. And then the door opens up, and then the dog is like standing on all four legs. I mean, he's like, he's standing up just normally, and then it's like out of the mansion on the first day of hunt. And then it's like, and then it's very like the narrator's like a wild show. It's very primal, and then the meters pop up for the first time. It's like the life bar, the hungry bar, and the stamina bar. And immediately I'm reminded because I explained it, I think a couple podcasts ago about, it's a lot of it is about consuming calories to stay alive. And so this dog, obviously he's eaten everything that his owner had in the house, and he has to go out. Otherwise he won't survive. And yeah, so you're like, and it's like Act 1, Pet Doggy Survival Debut. And it says catch a rabbit. So, you have like these high blades of grass, and you have to hide in the grass and like, right? And you can like duck down so like the animals don't take notice of you. And then you can press the R1 button. And it's like this Kamitsuki, which is like to go for their jugular vein.
Yes.
And then like the bite icon appears, and you press 1, and then you press circle, and he eats the animal until it's just left with bones, And you keep pressing on it because it takes a while for you to consume all the calories, right? Oh. And then and so you have to essentially what your first task is to like just run around and eat all these things before your hungry bar drops. And like so quickly, I just waited for my hungry bar to drop and see what would happen, and you died within a minute. So it's pretty quick. I mean, you have to like there are a lot of people who didn't know what they were doing. Everyone was dropping dead. And then, so you have to go around. And there's actually some platforming, jumping that I didn't realize until I played the game.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? That's when it comes to the sexy time, right?
What's that?
The sexy time.
Oh, before that. I mean, there's like these... it's just kind of like this broken building, and it's dilapidated, and you have to jump up these... like the second floor to the third floor. And then there's like... you're in Shibuya, so it's like... There is no going to Shibuya without like coming across crows.
Right.
I mean, crows and Shibuya go hand in hand.
Yes.
And so there's these crows are flying around at this really frantic pace, and the guys the people who were there were all developers. They weren't like just part-timers, which was really cool. So they really knew the game. He's like, don't bother trying to kill those crows. They're too hard. And just as he's saying it, I kill both of them in one bite. And he's like, holy. He's like, damn. And he's just like, subarashi desu ne. And I'm like, yeah,
King of the jungle.
Yes, because he pressed L1 to lunge. And,
isn't L1 sneak?
Is it L1 sneak? Or maybe I'm getting it wrong. But there is lunging and there is sneaking. Let's just get that out there then.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then I think at one point, I had to defend myself against some savage cats, and it was pretty tough. I mean, I got close to dying a bunch of times, and then for some inexplicable reason, they had like this medicine that I could pick up and somehow use, which was kind of bizarre.
Medicine,
but it's cool. Like that's kind of all part of it. It's like they're very unapologetic and aware of how ludicrous this all is, which is kind of cool. This isn't like a full, huge game. You don't want to be like, oh, why isn't this all voiced over? It's just...
It's not only that. You can get clothes for your animals and stuff as well.
Oh, man. Like in the most recent Famitsu, they've got costumes in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get all the costumes and stuff for your dogs.
Dressed in ceremonial sumo aprons. Kesho mawashis. And it like has the effect of scaring off smaller animals. So you can have like a real tiny dog who's got the ceremonial sumo apron on, and other dogs will be frightened by it.
Are you listening to yourself? This is amazing.
And actually for like slower moving animals like elephants, they can get like giant roller skates. And I'm just like, my brain's like trying to like come to grips with like, this is insane. And then they're like, because you have to fight like Giga Bunny, and then suddenly there's just like a gigantic bunny it's like they just took the zoom, or they just like they pressed like times 500 sound. I can see the debug kit. Like, yeah, this is now Giga Bunny. Okay, cool. We got a new end boss. It's just kind of ludicrous stuff like that. But the bigger animals have to consume more calories, so these giant roller skates it's imperative, to move quick.
Yeah, you need to get out of the way, right? Because you're being chased by there's a lot of hyenas, and the hyenas seem to be extremely powerful, and they can take you down like in one go.
Yeah, you have to dodge, like jumping out of the way constantly, and then going in for the jugular.
With the hyenas as well.
When you're being attacked by the hyenas, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a Pomeranian, and after killing, I was chasing a pig down the street of Shibuya, and
I love that in Shibuya.
I'm in Shibuya, and I'm chasing a huge pig. It's like, I don't know, at least 5-6 times my size, and God knows how many times my weight. But anyway, I'm chasing this pig down the street, and as I'm chasing it, another Pomeranian, a female, sees me chasing this pig down the street, and she gets interested.
Around. Yeah.
And she starts following me. You can see her in the background. She's following. And
game is primal, man.
Yeah, and I take the pig out, and
like a heartbeat.
I kill the pig. And as I'm killing the pig, the other Pomeranian who's watching me, she starts, like, all these hearts start, like, forming over her head.
Oh,
yeah.
snap.
And I kill the pig, and then this big pink heart comes out, and then she comes over to me, and then she leads me away up this dilapidated building.
Right, you have to do some platforming.
Yeah, do some platforming.
Up on this, like, a truck lorry.
Yeah.
And then on the back, and then onto these tracks.
Yeah. No. This is different. Not onto tracks at all. So
right.
she basically, she wants me to follow her, so I follow her and I do some platform and jump up the side of this building, and there's a hole in the building, and she goes into the hole, and you follow her into the hole, and then the wall becomes transparent, and basically what she does is you're facing her, and she turns around and he smells her butt, and then he basically mounts her.
Just as he's mounting,
and as he mounts her, the screen fades to black, and then it fades back in. And
then it's like, oh,
yeah. And as it fades back in, there's a whole family of Pomeranians.
Right. And then you have successfully, created your offspring, which we talked about before, which is the ultimate goal: is to stay alive as long as possible, and then to create your offspring.
Create offspring, yeah. So that's what I did.
So ridiculous.
So I was like, yeah, this is amazing.
Well, yeah, Inafune was like the same thing, because they're like at the end of every video, they're like, well, what word captures this, or what phrase captures this game? And then even Nagoshi was like, the universe. He got real. He's like Uchu. I was like, whoa. But Inafune was like, Yasei te saiko, which is like, wild is what's best, And he's like, yeah, it's like, you mate all you want, you eat all you want, you drink all you want, you attack to your heart's content. This is all that we can't do because we have the ability to reason. He's like, I want to go primal. And I'm like, oh, yeah. That's great. So, I mean, he supported. I was kind of really curious what he was going to say about it.
Yeah, but he spoken when it comes to this kind of thing.
But he said, he gave it his approval, and I thought he was going to jump on his, do his stump speech where he's like, we have to do this and that. But he did at the very end. He's like, it's our job as developers to lead the current generation out of and then kind of just ellipsis. Didn't really say doldrums or anything, but was kind of implied.
Yeah, but this is, I mean, it just cemented this day one pickup for me.
Didn't it, though?
Yeah. It was just so bizarre.
I kind of want this game
in your pants.
I really want, which we'll talk about later, I really want Soul Sacrifice.
Oh, God.
But I want this game more.
Is it because it's just totally different and you've never seen anything like it?
I just want to laugh and play it casually and not casually, but where the game doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, honestly, right now, I'm
got something going though. Yeah,
I'm already having a blast. Just explaining it to someone who doesn't know what it is quite possibly one of the funniest experiences ever.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm excited for this game called Tokyo Jungle. Oh, what's it about? Well, you're a Pomeranian and the world has ended and you have a lot of babies and hunt rabbits, and the look they give you is just like, huh?
But you're not just a Pomeranian, though. You're exactly, all kinds. Yeah. You're everything.
To me, the customization, the whole absurdity, like I said, the roller skates with the elephant, and they are really going to go deep with that. It seems like they've really done some really good brainstorming sessions in the meeting rooms. It feels like, all right, it's like, okay, I got it. All right, we got a hummingbird, and we got a jetpack. Okay, put it on the board, and I could just see them yeah, I love it.
So, are you guys getting physical copies?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, it's a day one. I mean, if Kyle can get his Flying Get Monday, we might all have it early.
It's true.
I might just cancel my Geo purchase and get Kyle to send it to me.
Okay, I already bought mine, so I put down the cash. So
yeah, true. But yeah, no, I mean, it's playing the demo and not only playing it, but actually watching other people play it and seeing their reactions to it cemented my purchase. I mean, because I wasn't expecting like mothers and daughters to stand there watching
it. And the thing
it.
is, they weren't just like watching it in passing. They'd like literally stopped.
No, they started. They were playing it.
It was like a 15-minute demo, and they would. Yeah, okay. People were waiting in line as well.
Yeah, when I was there though, there was a mother and a daughter, and they were playing it. And the mother was playing it, not the daughter.
Wow, that's nice.
And then there was a businessman in a suit with his briefcase. He was playing it, and he couldn't stop laughing when the sexy time came, and he just cracked up, but he couldn't. He was laughing like out loud in the store. And it's
a game you want to show people as well.
Definitely, yeah.
But that's something you don't see in Japan. Like people like emotions out like in the public. But this dude was just laughing like by himself with a controller in his hand. You know what I mean? And you don't see that in Japan. That's not a Japanese thing.
I would like to see more games like this where it just doesn't treat itself too seriously. It realizes it's a game and you're meant to have fun. It's just like the very lighthearted. Yet they got a core idea that no one's really done. That's
the thing. That they're just taking a really unique idea and shaping a game around it and just really running with it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, whenever I read anything about Tokyo Jungle, I just can't help but think to myself, like, this is like, in my head, this is what I think of when someone says Japanese games. Japanese video games. Like that kind of like a little bit out there, a little bit crazy, just kind of like a little bit unhinged, but like sort of taking those risks. Like those are the sort of Japanese games that I used to think of back in the day. You know what I mean? Like stuff like this, stuff like even to a lesser extent, stuff like Gravity Daze, or even
do you think this is a new type of genre, or do you think this represents wacky? Because I think this is kind of new. It feels kind of new to me.
It's survival, though, isn't it? So
it's new, but I mean like the sort of concept. Like I hear it and I'm immediately like Japan. But not in the way that, like, you read something about the latest, like, I don't know, like, lowly, like, 14-year-old girl RPG and think Japan. Like, more in the way, people used to think of Japan as making these really crazy games with, like, really crazy ideas. And when I see Tokyo Jungle, that's kind of what I'm reminded of.
Right.
It makes you look forward to games, and it's just something that I haven't had for a little while. I haven't bought a game since I came back to Japan, and that's over a month, and that's kind of unprecedented for me.
Yeah,
I've just not bought anything. I mean, I don't think there's anything that I was really interested in anyway. But when I saw this, I was like, oh, my hunger came back for games again. I was like, yeah, I want to play this. This is fun. I want to sit down and I just want to just relax and just enjoy this really bizarre experience, which I'm not. I would never get anywhere else from any other country other than Japan.
It's. I feel though, I don't want to belabor the point, but like when you talk about like wacky Japanese games, one game that comes to mind, like quintessential wacky, is Martin. You showed this to me at your house once, the Muscle March guys.
Oh God.
Yes.
Like to me, like when I see games like that, I kind of think of like it's a bad game, but it's so wacky that the wackiness makes
up for
viable.
it, right?
Makes it viable.
It makes an experience, yeah.
Right, but this game isn't like just wacky.
I like the Muscle March though.
And I do too. I don't want to beat it down. Yeah, I know.
Did you play it?
I played it at your house.
Yeah, I know, but Elliot, did you play it?
It makes you love Japan. Yeah, it makes you love Japan, and I'm not knocking it, but it's a different. What I'm saying is this Tokyo Jungle feels a bit different. It doesn't just seem like wacky. It's
like the game.
It's a little bit more matured, than these. Like evolved a little bit in some way.
It's all about those jetpacks.
Exactly. That you can't barely. Imperceptible difference, hard practically, but slightly 0.005 degrees faster.
No, I swear it's faster. Look, you can sort of tell.
Excellent. So I guess everyone's getting Tokyo Jungle then. Yep. So, okay, when did you actually first hear of this game? Because me and Steven saw this like almost 2 years ago at TGS. Remember?
Yes.
And at that time, everyone was like, what have we just played?
Well, I mean, even like Garnet Lee went on about that for quite some time. Like people in the West everyone was sort of attracted to it. Like mainstream Western journalists, right?
Right.
What the hell? The first, definitely around TGS that year. I think it was probably on one of the sites that was just like, "What is this game? Like, are you what Tokyo Jungle? What is this about?" And I think I saw some screenshots in Famitsu that week or something, and just thinking to myself, "Wow, someone is making this really? Like, this isn't just a joke." And then it disappeared for a while, and I kind of forgot about it. But when they started their marketing up again over the past year, it's just. I want it now.
Yeah, I mean, originally this was a PSN title only.
Yeah, I remember.
It was a PSN title only,
and it was supposed to be probably just a Pomeranian, and there wasn't any of this wackiness, really.
Yeah, I think Sony asked them to flush it out.
The game probably just kept ballooning.
It's amazing that they were able to make like a stronger second push, a showing of the game, because it was pretty strong in the beginning.
Well, it wasn't at last year's TGS, which freaked a lot of people out, right?
Yeah, most people thought it was going to be cancelled.
Yeah, that's what everyone was saying. Oh, where's Tokyo Jungle? It was here last year, and it was a downloadable title, and it's not here this year. Is it being canned? And then they were obviously not.
And it's really import friendly, I'd say. Like it's got English all over the place. When you like kill the animal, it says "Fine Hunt" in English.
Yeah.
And
like a boss as well, it says,
it will
right?
say "try again," or it will say the name, rank, a kill calorie is written there in English. It's pretty easy to understand.
Doesn't it say something like a boss or boss?
It says boss when you get like a certain amount of calories, and
seriously,
you are boss. And then that means you have enough calories to go over and find your mate, and then the mate will follow your mate will follow you to the getting place.
Oh, I need to play this game.
Yeah, and 2 weeks. Like, you're basically eating like a boss, and then and that type of English that it's built in there like that is so awesome.
Right. Good. Okay, let's go on to Ni no Kuni, Stephen. You finished it, right?
Have played a lot of Ni no Kuni.
Well, why did you get back into it? Because I know at one stage you put it down.
Yeah. It wasn't something I ever intended to permanently put down. It was just finding the right time to go back. Because if I was going to play it a second time, I didn't want to get derailed again.
Right. Okay.
And so obviously I was waiting for a lull, and we got one. So.
We sure did. Yeah, Elliot, you've played this as well, right?
I've played the first 10 hours of the PS3 version.
The first 10 hours, that's basically a replica of the DS version, right?
And that is why I put it down, yes.
Right, okay. So, but after about 15 hours, it does switch, right, Stephen?
Well, okay, so it sounds like Elliot and I have opposite experiences. So I've played about 27 hours of the DS version, and then I'm clocked in at about 72 hours for the PS3.
Yes, and on my case, I finished the DS version and got 10 hours into the PS3 one.
So there we go. So that's... And how many hours did it take for you to finish the DS, Elliot?
The DS one? I want to say like in the upper 30s.
Oh, so I was pretty close then.
Maybe, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so I don't know. I want to talk about... I just kind of get past the epidermis, because we were about 10 hours into the game. So we definitely weren't into the bloodstream of the game by no means. The PlayStation 3, Martin and I, right? 10 hours in was kind of just enough to see, just enough to critique the game, really, wouldn't you say?
Well, I don't think you could critique it because it was basically the same as the DS version, but with prettier graphics.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So to go back to your question, the difference between PS3 and DS, it's actually pretty late in the game. I would say it's about this. For me, it was about the 65-hour mark.
Mm.
There's a part where the DS game ends, and where Ni no Kuni essentially continues. And I think I tried to explain it before, but to think in Star Wars terms, like Ni no Kuni the main antagonist is this Jabbo, the jet black mage, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically your James Earl Jones Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And in Ni no Kuni, I think we originally were translating it as like the Queen of the White Sacred Ash or Sacred White Ash.
Yeah, the Sacred White Ash, something like that.
But then I saw the official, because it's obviously going to be localized in English, and then the official subtitle came out as Wrath of the White Witch. And I was like, I don't actually like that name. I think I like the old title back, but the newer title conveys the actual person much better. Like if you think of Queen of the Sacred White Ash, you think she's the rightful queen or something. She's a good person. Whereas the Wrath of the White Witch definitely conveys a bad person. So this bad person is the true main antagonist. She's like the Emperor Palpatine.
Okay.
So imagine Star Wars without the Emperor. You know, it's a whole different tier. So Jabbo the Jet Black Mage is like a pawn in a part of a much more like sinister group. Okay. So you only get to see a little bit of her throughout the game. So if you play 10 hours of it, she's there pretty heavy on in a couple parts. Yeah. She's definitely sitting in on this council and just sort of watching everything and commenting on it. And when Ni no Kuni, the DS version ends, the arc of her story comes to the foreground, essentially. And so actually I have finished the DS version at about 60 some hours, as I said, and now I'm actually playing the final part with her in it. So I actually given that some thought, and I think that's a really good way of doing a game that you're going to make in two versions of, right? Just you're adding a whole other tier above it.
I feel like they didn't market that enough. Like I feel like in a lot of the materials and stuff, like
I agree with you 100%.
They didn't push those different, because one of the I didn't stop playing because I didn't like the game. My biggest issue was that the DS version was still so fresh in my mind that 10 hours, I played 10 hours like straight when I first bought it. And I couldn't keep going because I already knew what was happening next. And so I was like, I need to give this more time before I can come back to this again, because it's pretty much the same game, only prettier. But like, I didn't know that.
Wait, only prettier? Really?
Not just that, but like, the battle system at that point was still really kind of simple and easy.
So even though it was more action oriented, and
that was cool.
I'm curious, did you get the feeling like, oh, this is how I really should have been playing it? Because that's sort of what I had.
I definitely did, and I think that was the frustrating part, is that like if I had gotten this one first, I would have blown right through it. Like there's no doubt in my mind I would have just like immediately charged headfirst and completed it in like a week and a half. But because I had the DS version, like the story wasn't pushing me forward in the same way because I had already experienced it. At least I thought I did. And so I had to put it down and I sold it that week because it was expensive. And I figured I'll come back to this eventually, but when, the DS kind of leaves my head.
There are also a bunch of other side characters that don't appear in the DS, and that gets it just feels like a lot of areas get fleshed out.
And I mean, to be fair too, like the 10 hours I got, I did a lot of exploring early on, so I didn't actually progress in the story all that much. I did not even get my second party member.
You mean the Imagine character?
I got the Imagine, but I didn't get like my secondary human character.
Okay,
in those first 10 hours. Yeah, I think so. And so like the battle system was still really, really easy because you were only controlling him and his partner.
Right. So you were getting bored by the difficulty level, right?
That was also a bit of it too at the time, but that's kind of my own fault for taking the time to explore. So.
Right. So I kind of played the game like I was running on a hamster wheel. Like I tried to just get through the game without doing any grind. I think, Martin, do you remember I was talking about trying to avoid the grind?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that was kind of like a big qualm with me. I felt I was being forced to grind even though I was trying to avoid the enemies. So the two things I want to talk about there, if you just hamster wheel through the game, and at about the 25-hour mark when the game just turns on you and says you can, because there's a lot of in plain sight hidden mechanics that you don't necessarily need to employ to still win each battle, even big bosses. You can just go, in the beginning, it could be, okay, so he's going to telegraph a big attack. And as long as I can recognize the timing, I can block for my character or counter with something that can be executed before his is executed.
Yeah.
And then you can counter it. But I didn't actually know that you could go on like the offensive or defensive with your own characters, the other people in your party. Did you know that?
Oh.
So there's a Mamori and then there's a Kogeki that you press on the fly, and it turns all your guys into defense or all your guys into offense. And there's a big boss in the game. The game is 70 hours, so I can spoil a couple 15-minute pieces here and there, and really it won't affect the game. But there's this tank that just flies around. I think Martin, I showed you during one of our test streams.
Yes, you sure did.
And he just kind of wipes out everybody in a single blow, and you're all dead instantly.
That does not sound like the game I played.
Exactly. You're just like, what just happened? This whole game that I've been playing was not too difficult up till now. I didn't have to do any grinding, and I could still beat everything. So this is the first time, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but it took me about 25 times to beat him. And the average length of the combat was 10 to 20 minutes. And there are points where I died at the very, very end.
Because the DS one doesn't even ever really get that difficult either, too.
No, the DS was really easy, I felt.
Yeah, it's easy the whole way through.
Easy the whole way through. This game there's at least a half a dozen characters who completely rock your world.
Wow.
And, but this guy, and I mean, I was talking to Martin, the actual controller, you know how it's got the boomerang bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I didn't want to throw it. I wanted to twist it, crush it in my hand. Is what I wanted to do to it.
Wow.
There's a couple points where, I mean, I literally grabbed the bottom boomerangs and just like twisted one to the right, twisted one to the left. I almost broke it over my knee, it felt like. Because the game, what's really frustrating, if you don't know what you're doing, is you can start a big attack on, and they've got these tokugis, these big attacks that you can do, and it takes about 1 to 5 seconds for it to engage, and they can actually engage their special move, and right like 4 seconds into the animation, theirs will cut in and kill you. So you're like Oliver can open the little book up, the flames are coming out, the pages are flipping. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna lay some smack down, and then and then it cuts in like a combo breaker and just owns you, and you're just like sitting there with this incredulous look, going, "What? I was robbed!" That took about 25 times. My girlfriend was watching me, and she's like, "I have never seen you rage like that."
Oh, see, hearing that gets me excited again. I feel like Level 5 did such a poor job of marketing this game to whoever they were trying to market it to.
Yeah, they don't speak to hardcore players out there. You don't get communicate very well.
I never had any idea who this game was really for. What was the demographic they were aiming toward?
Yeah, that's something I've always wondered as well.
What's that?
That's something I've always wondered, mainly due to the price point as well.
Yeah.
I would say it has people who have been playing RPGs their whole life, and they fancy the old classic RPG style, but they want the same mechanics but with beautiful graphics. And then, of course, you're basically taking an old RPG to the apex. Without reinventing it, you're saying these are the best aspects of the old RPG. Now we're just going to make it look really good, and of course give it Studio Ghibli love.
And the frustrating thing about that is that you have Dragon Quest X coming out in August, and it's going to be an MMO, and that for me means I'm not going to buy it because I don't really play MMOs, and so I don't have a Dragon Quest game, coming out, and I feel like they could have positioned Ni no Kuni as kind of the Dragon Quest, for lack of a better word, replacement of the year. Right. This is the game that, DQ fans who don't want to play a massively multiplayer online RPG can play Ni no Kuni instead. But they just really dropped the ball.
Isn't there a Dragon Quest coming out for the 3DS this week? Oh, sorry, next week?
Joker, I think. Or Monsters.
Is it?
Dragon Quest Monsters or something.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But it's just, yeah.
I gotta say, though, I cherished going home and playing it. It became my favorite chill-out game. After... It was my Ofuro Agari game of the after you come out of the bath. You just want to sit there and chill. And you definitely don't want to consume alcohol when you play the game because you'll fall right asleep. It'll be a lullaby. Because, you're in the magical world of, a Studio Ghibli cartoon. You definitely got to get your canned coffee out to stay awake. Otherwise, it's a lullaby. But in a good way. And I just enjoyed going home and playing 3 hours here and 3 hours there. And then there's a point in the game where you see in the opening video, so this isn't a spoiler, but you get to ride a dragon.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, riding the dragon was hands down the best way I've ever traversed in an RPG in my life.
Did you just say pants down?
Hands down.
Oh, I thought you said you pulled your pants down.
That's an effective way to describe the joy.
You can make a point.
It was that good, you had to pull your pants down.
Yeah, I had to pull them down.
Kleenex at the ready.
But it was really sublime, I have to say, because Martin, you saw the actual flying. He blows this little horn, and then this dragon screams, lets out a roar, and then it comes flying down, and the music picks up, and then you're up in the air, and he's just flying around, and actually it can perceive altitude. So you don't have to do any altitude corrections. If there's a mountain in front of you, he'll climb up and go over the mountain. And once he gets over the mountain and there's a field in front, open field, he'll start to soar down with his wings fully extended, and it feels really awesome. And you're just going around up and down. And it's I did not, we always talk about, in Xenoblade, we're talking about how great it is that you can fast travel. This is better than fast travel because you're not skipping around. It's seamless, and you're moving around really fast.
I guess the big difference there, and I think there's room for both in that, first of all, the Ni no Kuni world map is beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous.
It's a big diorama.
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli goodness.
That's where I spent a couple hours at least just running around the world map, exploring. But I guess on the flip side of that, something like Xenoblade, if you replaced the big open fields and stuff with a world map, you'd sort of lose, in that game specifically, right. You'd lose that sense of scale. Whereas Ni no Kuni isn't going for that same kind of scale. It's going more for that classical feel.
Yeah, I think it definitely, I would never say it should have had, Xenoblade should have had a dragon or something.
Though that would be cool if it was 1-to-1 scale. That'd be pretty badass.
But you could also just cast a spell and teleport, which is you could do in the game as well. And they even have other things, which I won't talk about because it will be a spoiler, but things almost as cool as a dragon that you can, on the ground, that you can fly or move around in.
Oh, I'm going to have to buy this game again.
And then
back out, right?
I think I spoke pretty poorly about the fact that all the other monsters could outrun you everywhere. I don't know if you remember, Martin. That was kind of a big thing with us, right? Or I was saying you can't. Suddenly they just run up to you and you can't do anything.
Right.
So there's this whole quest stamp system where they've got these, they call them hero stamps, AU stamps. And essentially what this does, this is completely different from typically leveling up your character, is it allows you certain things like being able to just traverse at a faster speed. And there's all these things that by building up these AU stamps and getting these level ups, it completely like addresses the prior criticisms that I had during the first 10 hours of the game. So all these qualms that I had of like not being able to jump around while navigating on foot, like being much slower than the monsters around me, not being able to sneak up on monsters from behind to gain initiative in combat, even though I'm directly behind them, not getting enough orbs when I'm blocking attack, because if you block an attack when you play, you get like mana points or you get health. And yet sometimes I would do a big defense and then so little would come out of it, like only a couple orbs. So by getting these licenses, it essentially makes all these things that annoyed you in the beginning of the game, they just go away essentially. And it takes like 1 stamp or 10 stamps to fill up a hero card, and you get 1 point. And then like some of these things, 1 to 3 points, or even later on in the game up to like 10 points, because they really make you more powerful. So it's actually more fun than leveling up, traditional leveling up.
They're re-releasing this title with all of the DLC, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, it's called the All-in-One Edition.
What is it, 4,000 yen, 3,000 yen? Something really cheap.
4,000 yen, yeah.
So, Elliot, are you going to pick it up by listening to what Steve had to say?
I am, and to be honest, they released a trailer for that All-in-One Edition, and I was really curious because that trailer did a lot better job of selling me on like the new content than the original trailers did.
Okay.
But hearing you talk about this, Steve, yeah, I'm starting to drool at the mouth, which is never.
Yeah, it's. I definitely think this is one of the most overlooked games, and I think the whole point of talking about this is like a lot of the criticisms I raised in the prior podcast about when we had a big talk about this get addressed as you advance, which I didn't think would happen. So maybe it might paint a different picture for you now hearing this.
That's it's definitely a very different picture from my first 10 hours. So
why do you think the Western release is so far out though? I mean, surely this doesn't take that long to
2013.
Yeah, surely it doesn't take that long to localize it.
So it's Namco Bandai that's helping out with the localization, and to be fair, when it comes to their other big RPG series, the Tales series,
right?
I mean, Tales of Grace's F got announced for an English localization, and the game didn't come out for like a year and a half, really. I mean, the game came out a couple months ago in the West.
But they usually only assign like one key translator to do the bulk of it, right?
Yeah, and so I'm wondering if that isn't what they did for Ni no Kuni as well. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Since
Kino was talking about it, and he mentioned a specific translator, and it sounds like...
Oh, did he?
She'll be handling the bulk of it. I don't know. So it could be that.
I mean, it's a big game. You know, it has a lot of content.
Yeah, I listened to the English version and the voices. I don't like Nino. Oliver's mother has got like an English accent, and he has an American accent. That was kind of weird.
That's odd.
I was like, come again?
It's also possible they re-record the lines too before.
It could be a placeholder.
One thing that was kind of worrisome though is that they talk about adding more content to the game as like a selling point, and I think that's the last thing they need. They've got plenty of content in the game. They just get more people, more recording time in the studio. I think
better advertising.
I was reading the game. It got to the point where I was, like how people do dramatic readings. I was reading it out loud dramatically at points just to try to spruce things up. And I mean, and then they have like these little like dotta koto nayo when you win a battle, like they were nothing, they ain't no thing. And they would just say that over and over again. It got to the point where that was all I heard for like 10 hours. And then very little parts would be like a major pivotal point in the story, and you'd be like, really? They're just text bubbling that?
See, that just blows my mind too, because like
it's where they drop the ball big time.
Such
the
a
voice
big
acting
production.
is so good. Yeah, And they've got really top quality. We talked about this before the podcast. They weren't voice actors. These are real theater actors who have huge repertoire of stuff that they've done in theater, on movies, and TV.
Yes.
I felt it showed off a little bit. It felt like less over the top. And like sometimes voice actors tend to go over the top. And I like that it was kind of more refined. Yet for them to just be completely, I don't know, they probably finished recording sessions pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot in there.
And I mean, I was talking to you earlier about this too. I wasn't particularly fond of the voice acting. And I think, I'm not sure if the money spent on it was worth it, even if like some people do think it's really good versus, not so great. Like, I think their money could have been better spent elsewhere. If they had gotten like the normal group of voice actors or like, a talented group of voice actors and spent less and would have been able to, voice the whole thing, I feel like that would have been a better trade-off.
Really? Okay.
Versus not having a lot of voice at all. Like in a game like this should be fully voiced, I think.
Yeah, I saw that was my major gripe as well, was it wasn't fully voiced.
Like this needed to be fully.
It's a huge, like, okay, I'm playing on Dragon's Dogma right now. It's fully voiced, but I find myself kind of skipping. It's not enchanting like this. Like, I'll read, even though there's no voice, I will still read almost every text, even for like banal conversations with random shopkeepers and everything, because it's just, there's something about it.
It's got a charm to it. Yeah, it's got a charm, whereas I don't think Dragon's Dogma has.
It doesn't. Which I find just ironic.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it? I mean, that's like a Studio Ghibli thing. I mean, they have a charm in their writing and stuff, right? And that comes across in Ni no Kuni.
Fantastic. I think it's a very, very gripping story, and it's tender. I mean, they're with the music with
Joe Hisaishi.
Yeah, Joe Hisaishi's stuff. I mean, and they get some tender moments where, because the whole game is about essentially your Ichi no Kuni, Ni no Kuni. There are counterparts of you who, like, splitting images of you who live in Ni no Kuni or also in Ichi no Kuni. So you sometimes, if there's a character you meet in Ni no Kuni, the second world, you have to go back to the first world, Ichi no Kuni, which is just like normal Earth, and like fix the person's personality problems there so that you can deal with them in the second world.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have like a lot of like different takes on it. Like instead of like the dragon in Ni no Kuni is like the owner of the dog in Ichi no Kuni, whereas the dog is the human who takes care of the dragon in Ni no Kuni. So it's like a complete opposite.
I thought that was a really neat element of the story.
I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah.
And basically this whole thing of people having their souls taken, they're nukegarabito, they're just shells of their
empty shells. Don't want to.
Or their nightmares even means they're like one step further, which means like they've been possessed essentially by a bad spirit, and you have to like return these people back to their former selves. And then like Hisaishi Joe's music kicks in when
God, so good.
In like these very tender moments where like you've saved this person who has like been yelling at his family for just like years upon years.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And you're like, wow, it's really powerful. Like,
there's some very emotional moments, even in the DS version, just
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah. I think you folks out west are definitely in for a treat with this one. For sure.
I feel sorry that they have to wait so long because it's so good.
For sure.
Yeah, honestly.
Okay, let's go to Steven, you were playing a demo, right? Steel Battalion. This is a game that you've been basically.
I would have played a lot more video games today if I didn't have to find out how to download the damn thing.
Well, I also set up your Kinect in your house, right?
Actually, that was pretty quick.
Oh, was it? Well, you've been championing this game for quite a while. I mean, you've been reading stuff from Famitsu, and you've been liking what the developers have been saying about it. So, give me a breakdown of the demo.
Right. So my setup in my house is I'm not lengthwise. I'm widthwise. My setup.
You've got girth, eh?
Not really.
Wow.
My gaming girth space is pretty constrained. I didn't think I'd be able to play it without completely changing the feng shui in my house, but actually I was able to do it. You have to have a chair. So your real life mech in like your Ichi no Kuni, your first world, is a chair. And so I had to put I tried to find the tiniest chair in my house. I have this little fold-up chair so it didn't take up much space. Like I've seen like the Angry Joe Gamer, he sat on his couch, and did it. But I wanted something that didn't obstruct.
Right.
And, it took me a long time to actually download it because it's not available in Japan yet. They're doing their first, like Capcom's doing their first showing next week. So I had to actually make a Western account and actually get 1 month of gold membership just to play this damn thing.
Right.
And so yeah, there's a tutorial with the game before you start the main deal, and it takes you through the game. The graphic wise is really good, and the characters are they're dropping F-bombs everywhere.
I didn't like the language straight away. I was like, wow, the dialogue sucks.
Yeah, it was a bit.
Is it just over the top?
Yeah. It's just all like really stereotypical.
I see.
I hated it as soon as everyone opened their mouth, and then
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, it was a bit overdone. Like there's like freaking out in battle and then saying things you would never say in real life, and then there's just overdoing it. But
yeah, I mean, there's a bit at the beginning, right? And you're this commander, and you walk in towards some dude who's having a piss, right?
Oh, before that, like a guy walks up to you, wants to shake your hand because you're like your reputation precedes you.
Yeah.
So you actually have to hold out your hand, and then he like shakes it and he walks away. And behind him, as you say, is this guy taking a piss on a cactus. And like he's cleaning up over there. He's like shaking it and finishing up. And he turns around and he brandishes an apple.
Oh, no, before that, the guy shouts, doesn't he? He says, hey, meat thingy, and he pisses on his hands, right?
Yeah.
And
he pisses all over his hands, and then he brandishes an apple. And he's like, hey, man, you want an apple? And then like he gestures to throw it at you, so you hold up your hand. And then he throws the apple and you catch it midair.
What is going on?
And then he takes a bite out of this apple he's obviously got pissy hands and passed it to you, and you're like, what? And he bites this apple and is like, wow.
And honestly, he probably hadn't had an apple in a long while. They're out in the middle of the desert.
But still, the guy says,
robots?
The guy says, you made me piss on my hands, and then he gives you an apple, and he just bites it, and he's like, yeah, okay, great.
You may not see the end of the day. You could die. It's the last chance to get an apple. Yeah. I don't know.
I was like,
I don't know why I'm defending this.
Don't defend it. It's indefensible.
Right. So you get in this like World War II SK vertical tank mech, and there's a guy sitting to your right who's a loader. There's a guy sitting to your left who's a loader. Then there's another guy who's like a communications guy behind him, and they go through it, and it's really like a heavy-handed tutorial where they're telling you what to do. And, you have to, like, when you want to, like, wave your hand, like, for people to catch up to you who are behind you, like you wave your hand, like you swipe it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look to the right, you have to swipe your hand. You have to look to the left, you swipe your hand. And they're there, and you can tell it's like a hot mech because it's like there's no air conditioning in there. The guys are sweating beads. And, they're all really high maintenance, your crew. They're like complaining the whole time. There's one point in the tutorial where a guy lights up a cigarette, and you have to actually use a physical gesture to open the vents for the mech because it's filling up with smoke, and all the guys are complaining and swearing. And what you have to do is I don't know, like like in Mortal Kombat, the Raiden move where he like goes flying across the screen.
Oh, where it's like horizontal.
Yeah, you have to hold out your hands like you're flying it like Raiden. And what that does is it pushes you up close so that you can look out the little door, like a little window there. And then it allows you to see outside and basically look around. Because otherwise you're in the cockpit and you can't really see jack. You see all the equipment there, and there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's like it's a virtual user interface of the real controller, pretty much. And dude, it was jacked. Like from the beginning, I'm trying to do something, and I'm like swiping because it will highlight certain aspects on the user interface that you're supposed to interact with. And you got to get your hand, and there's like a hand that, like a virtual hand that comes out, so you can see where it is, which I thought was kind of nice. It helped me figure out where the hell I'm supposed to, if I'm off mark, how far I need to go back.
That hand seems to jitter all over the place, though. It's like he's got Parkinson's disease or something. It's just all over the place.
Yeah. So there's like I learned quickly. Like everybody, like I've watched a couple guys who play this, and they immediately throw a conniption because you have to overcome the jankiness of the Kinect. Now, there's a learning curve there, but I think everybody is getting like completely flustered emotionally before you learn it. Yeah, I was getting really flustered, and I was swearing and everything I was doing, because when you actually start the real mission, it's like Normandy. You have to do a beachhead. And you come out of these like amphibious trucks, and they like pull up onto the beach, and you get out, and you're getting hit by heavy fire, and they're yelling at you, you need to go to the right, and you're getting bombarded, and like the whole mech is shaking. Your guys are swearing, and like it's really visceral. I mean, you are right in the thick of combat, and when you do like the raid and dive, and you look forward, then you can switch really quick to your controller, and everything's fine. You start to chill out because you can just shoot. But then all of a sudden, like they'll say, like switch, open the hot top hatch and look out with your binoculars or something like that. You have to stand up, then it opens it up, and it all takes like a couple seconds for it to finish. Or then you have to go in again. And then it says, like, use the heat seeker missile thing. And then you have to press a button. But instead you're, like, grabbing this, like, targeting control and, like, pulling it in front of you. Or, like, there's this periscope you have to pull down. And the periscope was a real SOB. Because, like, you'd be trying to do the Raiden move to look over through the normal hatch. Instead you're pulling it out on the freaking periscope. And you're getting bombarded. And they're like, it's just total pandemonium. And then you die. And you're like, oh, screw this game.
So, I mean,
you start to learn it.
This game is, I mean, I think originally they were saying, like, you are the controller. And then they started to clarify, well, actually, you can use the controller in conjunction with the Kinect.
Right, so you're like putting the control in your lap and like doing these things.
So what are you doing with the controller? What does the controller do? Is that just like firing?
You have to sit down basically the whole game. You can't stand up and play, because when you stand up, he'll open up the hatch.
Headshot.
Get hit by a stray bullet real quick. So I mean, like, and it's really weird because if you go up the hatch and you have to hold binoculars. You have to hold up your hand. You're like standing up. Oh, you're holding up your hand like you're pledging allegiance to the flag. And then you have the controller in your hand with the right analog stick, and you're moving around to try to find where the water tank is. And you're like, for real? I'm standing up, holding my pledging allegiance, and I'm moving around with one. It's awesome, though, because it's hardcore. It's like, this is really hard. So, I don't know. One part of me says this is like one of the most hardcore, ambitious games ever, but it's the Kinect. And there is definitely a way around it. Like even playing Child of Eden, which I really liked, there was a learning curve involved in it. And I don't know. I think it's
yeah, but the difference with Eden, it was simple.
Yeah, exactly.
With Steel Battalion, it seems to there's too many things to do. With the Kinect, and I don't think the Kinect is not. I don't think it's good enough to do so many different things.
Yeah, it really isn't. But like, as somebody who wants to like not lose, if you're like you've got pride because you've played the games all your life, you're like the hardcore part of you is saying, "Oh, how do I win this? This is so crazy."
I think most hardcore people would just say F Kinect and just to dinner off.
I disagree.
Really?
There's still something here that won't let me put it down.
I think here's the thing. Like a lot of what you described sounds really cool, but the problem is it sounds to me, at least, again, I haven't touched it, but it sounds like there's a whole lot of motion control for things that just really don't need to be in the game at all. like things that just serve to like.
It's kind of cool though. It's kind of cool. I don't know.
Especially because Kinect can be so janky that like you want to like I don't know like look out the window, but instead you do something else because there's 400 different hand movements you can do to do individual actions. I don't know. It's a little disconcerting.
Yeah, when you're getting pommeled, I thought it was surprising that for a demo they were doing the Battle of Normandy essentially. I mean, you're going up. You can see the Statue of Liberty. You're going up New York City. But yeah, they throw you right into the fray, and you're literally getting pommeled, and it's very unapologetic. And I died a few times, and actually I haven't completed the demo.
Is that because the controls are that bad?
No,
or is it that hard?
It's that hard, and the controls on top of it just sort of exacerbate.
So, I mean, with a game with bad controls, does that not make you just want to just go forget it? Because to me, a game with bad controls is like, nah, forget it.
I still think there's
I play games to have fun.
As going through the demo, I was starting to get better at it, and I was doing things like I was starting there's like you have to pull this like handbrake to actually start the truck, start the vertical tank up, and then I had to open up the door so I can see out. Mm-hmm. But then I had to pull down the periscope, and I started getting really good at it. I knew the sweet spot of how I had to move. So,
are you standing or sitting like a robot? Are you really rigid or what?
No, not really. When I'm sitting, I'm not rigid. I'm just kind of sitting normally. But you're flailing your arms around to do things, and it's just kind of over the top. And I killed myself at one point because I knew I was going to die. I pulled on the periscope and was completely shot to hell. I couldn't even see out. The whole vertical tank is flashing red. And I was just getting pommeled. I'm like, screw this. I popped open the thing for the self-destruct. And then you make a fist and you pound it. And I just killed myself. And I was like, oh, yeah, what's up? I killed myself. How do you like that? But it was my way of controlling the situation.
Oh, my God.
I am in control, eh? So... Are you going to buy this? Because this is out on June 21st. You're going to buy this?
I'm going to die on that hill if I have to.
Really? You're going to waste your money?
I don't think it's a waste.
You don't think... How can you say that?
Because you haven't played it. You got to at least play it before you can take that road.
But I watching people play it just looks insufferable, to be honest. I mean...
I'm glad, because one of our listeners, Brian, he showed the Angry Joe, and I made sure I didn't watch it before I played it because I wanted to just experience it first.
Right. Okay.
And I thought he was overreacting.
Okay, I have a question.
I thought the video was like, come on, really? You're getting that bent out of shape about it? Try to figure out something though.
Okay. But that means it's not intuitive then. If it's not.
If you have to work around
it. You have to work around it, right? That's not intuitive.
It's a steep learning curve because of the limitations of Kinect.
So that makes it frustrating. I want to play games that don't frustrate me. If a game frustrates me, I'll turn it off. Don't play it.
I don't know. I have no problem with a learning curve.
Yeah.
Because it's new controls. What frustrates me is when the controls don't work because of the hardware, the actual platform or the hardware. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to be frustrated, dude. There's no doubt about it. But I think you'll figure out some things if your patience doesn't run out before you just say screw it.
I mean, in Japan, we're going to be paying you're going to be paying about $80 for this. Are you prepared to drop $80 to get frustrated?
Yes.
And
I'm not prepared. I don't think I'm going to be the whole main experience is getting frustrated.
Well, by the sounds of your demo experience,
game. It would benefit probably way better than just like not having it on Kinect. Yet, by having it on Kinect, it takes it to a whole nother level of insanity. So, and it just kind of fits in a way.
I always feel like you try to defend Kinect.
You do. You do think that.
I do. I feel that you try to defend it when.
I think I'm.
I mean, some games work. Child of Eden worked great because it was basic.
In a way that you can see. I think I'm explaining it.
Right, but what I'm saying is like Child of Eden worked because it was basic. The movements were basic.
So I'm not disagreeing with that. So
I'm sorry.
So I'm not disagreeing what you're saying.
Right, but when it comes to a game with which is more physically demanding.
Look, here's what makes me attracted to the game. It's one of the first games that's integrating Kinect with the controller. So
that's interesting.
I want to give it. It's all like, to me, that's one thing that's supposed to be appealing for a lot of the people out there who don't want to just be
okay.
And admittedly, a lot of times too, games here can get some pretty not so great or indicative demos of, the actual full game. I mean, for example, Asura's Wrath's demo did absolutely nothing for me, but I love the full game. So, I mean, it's very possible that...
my expectations are not extremely high, but I'm just very interested in this type of gameplay.
Right.
And that's the thing. It sounds very interesting to me. I just don't know if it's for me.
So, if you can understand, I'm not blowing this up going, this is a game you should like. I'm just communicating how I can still be happy with paying that money for it.
I can understand that, totally.
Okie dokie. Well,
I'm not trying to sell you, I mean, obviously.
No, I don't have Kinect no more.
Right.
It's all gone. Right, okay, let's switch gears again. Actually, on the Saturday evening, me and Stephen live streamed. I commented over the top of it was Dragon's Dogma by Capcom.
DD.
Yes, I said it was called Dragon's Dog Turd. So am I right or wrong?
Whoa. I'm on the stand again.
Well, no. Well,
that's a bit. I feel like I'm getting cross-examined here. Okay, we've only played it for 2.5 hours. So,
well, the 2.5 hours that we played are almost essentially what we played in the demo, except running around.
Well, no, we got a lot. We got a bit further. We finished a couple quests.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we were just in a village and that didn't look inhabited at all. There was nobody there. It was empty, and then it got pitch black and we couldn't see anything for like an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
So we were running around this village in the pitch black. I mean, yeah, there was no light.
The lights were out, man.
No torches or anything?
Not that we could find.
The guy we were running around with had a torch, but it was just like limited to his immediate area. And we had to go to a chapel, and the guy had his scriptures book taken, the holy man there. And some guy stole it. We found the guy who stole it, but he didn't know where he lost it because he was running around. So he was just like a normal dude. So you're running around, you lost it. Okay, just somewhere along the ground, you would think. It turns out that it was like on this roof.
Oh, his name was Ezio then, right?
What's that?
His name was Ezio. Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. So we had to do a little bit of Assassin's Creed to find this thing, but unfortunately before we grew a clue, it just went dark. Lights shut off. And we couldn't find an inn. So we went like house to house trying to find a bed, which we found, but we couldn't really sleep there for some reason. I guess we had to find an inn. I don't know why. And once it finally got light out, we waited what seemed like forever. Our NPC character said, the pawn, he said, you should probably look in places people rarely go. And then we jumped from building to building and it was just sitting on the roof. But the marker showed where it was. It was like this red marker. But I don't know, like the map was just, I didn't like how it was moving around.
Well, you can't tell when it's on levels,
Yeah, when it's above you or below you. So we were going everywhere around there trying to find it. Because he was a normal guy, we didn't expect him to be running from rooftop to rooftop.
That's so weird.
So it was kind of weird. Like, it was going to be an open world action. So obviously you're expecting that. But it was like broad daylight. The city was deserted, essentially. Like I was hoping, because we talked about Assassin's Creed just a second ago, that place is like just teeming with life, right? The city, yes. When you walk around it. There was just nobody around. So even though I had this cool system of like changing the time of day from, broad daylight to pitch black, like there was no it's starting to get dark out, so people are closing shop and going in and going to retiring for the evening. It was dead during broad daylight, and it just didn't match. No. The city itself was just kind of bland. But after we got out of that and I got in some combat. I really like the combat.
Yeah, I've only played
the
demo.
Punchy. It was really punchy, and I was casting these spells, and they're flying at this. Was that a Cyclops we attacked?
Yes. It was a dude. Big
Pretty soon he was
Cyclops.
engulfed in flames after shooting fire at him for a while, and that was really cool. We took him out. We took him out really quickly, but I like the running mechanic and just sort of moving around. After playing Ni no Kuni 2, it was just sort of nice to
very
something more. Yeah, very different. They complemented each other.
I mean, I've only played the demo, and my issue with the game is mostly an aesthetic thing. Like, the aesthetic doesn't really do much for me. But I really enjoyed the combat from what I've played. In the demo you fight, the giant griffin that's, like, flying around. And it was so cool to just, ride this creature while stabbing him. And, like, if he happens to, like, die while you're in the air and having him plummet to the ground while you're on top of him, like, it's just really thrilling and almost Monster Hunter-esque. And I don't know. I'm really
a bit of Shadow of the Colossus in there as well.
Yeah. I'm really on the fence about this because, like, the combat was so much fun and is what I want from this type of game, but the things I'm hearing about, like, the world just being kind of really empty when it comes to towns and cities and stuff like that, like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend the full price on it. Yeah,
like Ni no Kuni's weakest link was voice acting. This was probably just sort of populating it and making it feel like a real live, breathing open world.
Yeah.
I mean, only 2 hours in. What do you feel, Martin?
I haven't actually played the demo yet, but the demo was essentially what I played at TGS, and I wasn't impressed back then.
No, I mean, but seeing the video and more so.
Well,
seeing the live stream of it.
Seeing the live stream, yeah. The combat, as I said before in the last podcast, the combat was interesting, especially coming from a Japanese perspective of the way they direct their combat and the way they do it visually. It always seems to be obviously a lot different in the way they direct action from the West. So I enjoyed that. I don't think I enjoy the aesthetic, though. I don't like the towns. The towns, as you said before, they're empty. I don't think I like fantasy. And the setting kills it for me. I just don't like fantasy.
But you try to get beyond that. I mean,
I can't. I look at it and I just see fantasy, and I see guys and like wizards and stuff like that, and I just cannot get past it. I don't think it wouldn't matter how much fun the game was. Right. I just couldn't get into it. It's just not my type of game that I would spend any amount of time playing and watching. I mean, I enjoyed watching the battles that you did, but just everything else just doesn't interest me. It's a bit like Diablo 3. I mean, everyone's talking about it. It's on Twitter everywhere. I mean, that's another thing that I just cannot get into, no matter what. Click, 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 click is just not what I want to do,
Yeah, I'm kind of that vein. I think the battle tilts it for me pretty into, like, kind of out of the RPG genre.
That's kind of why I'm on the fence about it, really. It's really the combat that I'm super interested in.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that the combat is about the only thing that would keep me interested, but the rest of it,
the pawn
I just couldn't
system
do.
Is pretty interesting. I like the fact that, you can send your guy off on quests when you're not playing the game. Other people can.
That's very cool. That's a cool way of...
Even though it's not online play, it's very close to it. It's like taking Street Pass or like something like what is it in 3DS? Where you're
Surechigai
Tsushi.
Yeah,
taking that to the next level, sort of.
Yeah, it is smart for me because you can import that character, right, and then that character can like gain experience with another person, and you can bring him back into your game, and that the experience that he's gained with somebody else, he can then use it with you, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's interesting, and especially for the Japanese game. I don't think many companies would have tried that. So
yeah, it's pretty impressive.
But yeah, as I said, it's just the aesthetic. It just makes me want to just not play it. So yeah, I don't know. It's are you going to pick it up?
I'm waiting on that price drop, I think.
are you going to not buy it, like, even if it's secondhand? I mean, because I saw it in the store the day after it came out, secondhand. Someone had already bought one, and obviously a day later they traded it back in. And it was it was 180 yen cheaper than the new one.
I'm gonna wait a little bit until it drops further in price, which I think will be pretty quickly. But I honestly have no idea how this is gonna sell here. I mean, they're aiming pretty high with the numbers they're expecting, but I would be very surprised if this did as well as Capcom wants it to do.
I think it might do well in the West because of like Skyrim and stuff like that.
I don't know. A lot of people are just like hyper comparing them between Skyrim and all that, and I'm just like, can't you just sort of enjoy it for what it is,
right?
Or or for how it's different.
But it's got positive reviews, though, right? It's not like it's got crappy reviews. It's kind of like, is it mixed?
Yeah, some people really dig it, and some people don't at all. Like, it's been very split down the middle. It's kind of one of those games you either like or you don't, period. There isn't really a in-between.
Right, okay. Fair enough. So, obviously, you've only played it for about 2.5 hours, Steve. Are you going to plow more time into it?
I hope so. I spent 7,000 yen.
Yeah, true. True.
I mean, I bought it on the PS3. I've been playing a lot of Ni no Kuni, so I'm just kind of into the PlayStation 3 mindset right now. And so I usually would buy it on the Xbox, but it was sold out. They have so few store copies that they sell out really quick.
Right.
So I bought a PlayStation. This is the first time I think I bought a PS3 game, even though I had a choice between the two.
Well, when you got to the store, you had no choice. The 360 one had sold out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wasn't going to another store. I was just like, stuff it.
Forget it, yeah.
So I can live stream them as well because of the setup.
So, okay. On the way back to the UK, I started playing Gravity Daze, and I'm pretty sure I'm pretty far into it now, and I'm really enjoying it. And then I started seeing some of these reviews come out for the West. There's a Gravity Rush in the West, right?
Gravity Rush.
That's the title.
Yeah, and one of the reviews I saw made me laugh of how wrong somebody could be, and that was IGN and their statement saying that it was RPG-like.
Light RPG, I believe, were the words.
Was it light RPG?
Yep.
It kind of made me laugh like out loud physically.
Just because of the stats thing, or
I think it was because maybe he saw that you level up your character, with abilities and stuff like that, and he went, "Oh, it's an RPG.
It's Japanese, too.
And it's Japanese, so yeah, it's got to be an RPG." I was like, "Really?" He couldn't even get the genre right.
Makes you wonder if they even played the thing.
Oh, he definitely played it, but he obviously doesn't know the difference between the genres,
right?
And yeah, so I was like,
a freshman writer.
He's not. No,
it's not though.
He's not.
It's Greg Miller.
It's Greg Miller.
Oh, Greg Miller.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't know. He's got his mind set somewhere else, or he's too busy. But I don't know where he came out with the light RPG, because it's definitely not a light RPG. But anyway, I'm enjoying the crap out of it. You guys have got the DLC, right?
Yes,
I have the
everything.
Have you both finished the DLC?
I know you have, Steve, but I actually have not started on the DLC yet. I haven't, but I've been waiting for a good time to just sit down, put my headphones on, and kind of gel out and play all the way through.
Yeah, so this is the first game I've ever platinumed.
Wow.
I'm Hajimete-san for my first platinum.
I've never platinumed the game.
I'm glad that this was my first one.
Popped your cherry, eh? Cat popped your cherry?
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, God.
Beautiful. Yeah, the Special Forces Maid Pack. Oh, I love these names. But one of the trophies, all that glitters. To get the platinum, you have to gold medal every challenge. And
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know all about that.
Oh, yeah. And that is, like, there is one, Kyle, I wish Kyle was here, but the Rift Plane Vitality race that he talked about, where you're surrounded by magma.
It's terrible.
God.
It's terrible.
And it's really long. It's brutal. Major rage going on there. Major rage.
But when you complete it, though, you're just like,
oh, yeah. Oh, don't get so, yeah. And then you go in. What to me was the greatest joy was going in and seeing how you ranked on the leaderboards.
Exactly.
I just like excessive compulsive to, and I realized that probably no more than about 900 people at that time could have platinumed, based on looking around at everything. But yeah, I only got to like 400 for a couple, but usually around that 800-900 level.
I feel like that's something that hasn't been talked about much, but like the challenges and the leaderboard stuff, it's a lot of fun to try to beat your friends' scores. Like right. I remember back when the game first came out, and I think
I'll have to get you. I'll have to get your. I didn't know you realized you played. I'll have to get your.
Yeah, we will exchange. But I was playing, and I think Kyle and.
I don't want Kyle's because he sounds like a way better player than me.
And another gaffer had the game as well. And we all had it the same day, and like you just look at the leaderboards and you just see the names fluctuating like constantly as we were trying to one up each other in terms of like our speeds. But which is a surprising little kind of multiplayer-esque element of the game, I think, which was a lot of fun. But the whole game is just excellent, though. So
there are a lot of rage-inducing moments in that game, though.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it is hard. It's not an easy game if you want to go for the platinum.
Definitely,
it's brutal. I mean, I also did look at in the store. They have the complete guide, Gravity Daze complete guide, and I was interested. I did find a little tidbit in there that kind of hinted at a sequel. They had like a whole level that never made it in the game. It was like this. They called it Haguremura, which was like this lost village. It was kind of like an Ewok type village. Yeah, and then they've never made it. It said in there is like Zokuhen ga areba toujou suru kamoshirenai, which is basically if there's a sequel, this will probably appear.
Well, they had that Nico Nico presentation a few weeks ago for Japan. Strangely enough, where they did like a presentation on the music and stuff, and they demoed the game. And there's recently been this strange marketing push, even though it's been like 3 months since the game came out. And all of the Nico Nico comments going across the screen were, sequel, onegaishimasu, please make a sequel. And on stream, he was just like, well, we might make a sequel if you keep asking. So they've been teasing it for a little while, I think, already. Fingers crossed.
But I think it deserves a sequel. Yeah. For the game to come out so early on the Vita, at the quality of the game, it's quite astounding, because I didn't think you would get that kind of game so early on in a console cycle.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Elliot, you were saying... Sorry, Elliot was saying that this is in contention for his game of the year. And on a new platform, a new IP, that's kind of unprecedented, isn't it?
I mean, everything just jived for me, honestly. The music, the gameplay, like that feeling of flying is just...
It's amazing.
Yeah, it has nothing... Like, even now, whenever I turn the game on, like, it's still amazing. It has nothing to do with the fact that it was the Vita and, it was a new game on the Vita. It's a great, fresh game all on its own, and it's on the Vita.
And it's fun. I've never wanted to go around and find, like, the, what do you call them? The energy, the power?
The
gems, thank you. Yeah, it's been a while since I've played, obviously, but, I've loved just going around trying to find those. I used to hate that in games.
Yeah.
Like Grand Theft Auto or something, like going around trying to... No way.
Yeah, I did that for a while with, what was it? Infamous? All the shards and stuff? Running around the city looking for shards?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I did that for a while.
But that's what Gravity Daze reminded me of Infamous as well, with the same type of things, collecting the orbs, running around the city collecting stuff, so... It was good. But no, I played it on the plane, and there was a dude sitting next to me, and he just watched over my shoulder for like 3 hours.
Did you move it around a lot?
No, I only used the gyros just to get a little bit more accuracy.
Because if you want to do like tweak mini corrections, it's much better to move it.
Yeah, I did little corrections just to get accuracy better, but no, not too often. But I did move it quite a lot, and he laughed every time I moved it around.
Yeah, because I was at I was at a Chinese restaurant in Chinatown, and I sat in like way in the back.
Okay, you look like a complete loony, huh?
Yeah, but like I was in my platinum mode, and I'm like just gonna sit somewhere where no one is, and I'm just gonna do this deal. But then a couple sat down like way down the way, but the chick had a direct view of me.
Excellent. And she thought you had gaming Tourette's, huh?
And I was doing actually the magma run when I was there.
Uh-huh.
And it's 5 minutes. And I mean, I was so close to beating it. There was one point where I was just moving around like a complete loon. But even as I'm like, she can see me. And I'm like, I don't give a crap because I'm going to get this freaking gold. And I kept going.
Excellent.
I mean, the funnest thing to do is to sit in like a swivel chair and just at home and just spinning around while you're playing, like using the gyro.
You got a swivel chair, right, Steve?
Yeah.
You had one of them for that 3DS game you had. What was it? Steel
Diver.
Steel Diver.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that was good. But the game isn't without its faults. I gotta say there was some major frame drops.
Yeah, there's some frame rate issues. There's some draw distance issues, but as I said, this is a game that came out like pretty much at launch. You know, I mean,
yeah,
for the game. I mean, and originally it was a PS3 game as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I think the biggest problem. I don't really have an issue with the draw distance because the way it like comes in,
it's beautiful.
Like,
I like
so
the way
looking,
it.
Yeah. But
is it the text? Is it the texture popping?
It's the and this isn't a huge complaint because it doesn't happen all the time, but the load times when you're going from an instanced part of the world to like the full world are pretty long. Like on average, the load times aren't bad, but if you go into a challenge and then come out of it, the load times can be pretty long because it's re-rendering the entire world.
That
again.
was a major complaint.
That was Steven's complaint. I think he said that many times. That
if you want to do like a leaderboard thing where you're only going for the gold, that is really, really aggravating. That's what prevents it from becoming Kamige, which is like, just godlike status game. Because of that load time, they should have addressed that in an update somehow.
And I mean, I get why it's there because when you go into the challenge, you're going into like a sectioned off version of the world, and when you come out of it, you're going back into like this one gigantic world where there aren't really load times between each section. You just kind of go, and so like it's re-rendering that whole thing again before you do it. It's definitely sort of like damn, like why is it
30 seconds you have to wait?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but when you're just like progressing the story, that doesn't ever happen. But it's when you go into the challenges that pops up.
Right. Let's pick it up. Let's get into Zasshi time, Steve. It's getting late. It's 12:25. Right. Monday. Okay. 12:25.
I'll do some Yakuza 5 talk.
Woohoo! This makes me.
Yakuza 5 is coming out on this December.
Yeah.
It's been announced. And there was a pretty big write-up in Zasshi time. In Famitsu. I got my own mag.
You got your own mag, eh? Yeah.
All right.
Doing that well.
With Famitsu. In Famitsu, there's a pretty big write-up in there on the 5 cities, which we talked about in the beginning of the podcast: Sapporo, Tokyo, Nagoya, Osaka, Fukuoka, Fukuoka. And the five main characters, the way it works. So first of all, the subtitle is Yume Kaneshimono, which is the dream fulfiller. So they all have got that. What was it? Of the End was the one from before?
The zombie one.
Yes, the zombie one, right?
Right, the spin-off. Kind of like Kenzan.
Yeah.
So they asked Nagoshi about Of the End. So what did you mean by Of the End if we're not at the end? And he said, well, slyly, that is he just meant that was the end of that game engine. So he says, Yuga Gotoku 5. He's totally BSing, but I'll buy it.
Oh, he's just making it up as he's
just like, well, but Yuga Gotoku 5 is a completely new Yuga Gotoku game with a brand new engine, and they've actually, he said they spent twice as much development time on the game. And I think the visuals show they've got all the pictures of the different cities. in there. And I just want to do a quick rundown. He gave the reason for how he's tying in all of these 5 stories. And like basically, if you follow the Ryuga Gotoku series, Kazuma Kiryu, he gives up his position as head of the Sunshine Orphanage, and he's
and the Sunshine Orphanage is in Fukuoka, right?
Isn't that Okinawa?
Is that Okinawa?
Yeah, I think that's Okinawa.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm a bit sketchy myself. It's been a while, but he gives up to investigate some incidences in Fukuoka. So he goes to Fukuoka as a taxi driver under this bogus name.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of how the story starts, and basically Tojo Clan, which you've probably heard before, they're attempting to form this alliance with groups all across the country to fight against the Omi Alliance. So basically, they're going to all the cities, and they're trying to find different clans to form an alliance against this Omi Alliance. So that's why. So you've got all these different oyakata, all these different gang mobsters from different cities who you're supposed to form an alliance with. And Kazuma Kiryu is going to be in Fukuoka. And maybe you know this place. Is this Nagasugai River?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there's a big river that runs through the city.
Exactly, right. And Saejima is going to be the main character for Hokkaido, Sapporo, and Tsukimino. And then you have Sawamura. Haruka is actually going to be a player character this time around.
That's cool.
And Kazuma Kiryu for Osaka. And then for Nagoya, Martin.
Is it Tebasaki and Yamachan? Kokuichi.
So this is a totally new character. His name is Shinada Tatsuso. And so it's got a picture of Kinecho, which is in Nagoya, where the Ferris wheel's connected to that building. You know that place in Sakai?
Yes, Sunshine.
Yeah, Sunshine Plaza.
Sunshine, yes, in Sakai.
So they've got this whole story about this new guy, Shinada Tatsuo, and basically he's a former pro baseball player who was kicked out of the pro ball after being charged with baseball gambling. And he was like bottom of the ninth. He's a pinch hitter, and he miraculously hits a sayonara home run, which is basically like a all-man bases loaded slam home run, right? In Japanese, they call it sayonara home runs. And he's kicked out of it. He's kicked out of baseball as a result of getting caught up in baseball gambling. And now he's like, it's 15 years later, he's barely eking out a living as a smut magazine writer. Hey. And then one day out of the blue, this mysterious dude appears and confronts Shinada and says, 15 years ago, you lost everything in your life. I want you to investigate the truth behind this Grand Slam home run. You know, why maybe you didn't do something bad, because it looks like he was framed. So there's this whole new character in there, and anyway, he works as a smut writer for a smut magazine. And it just looks really good. Looks pretty ambitious this time around. And they're obviously Kamurocho is going to be in there, and they're working harder to even make it a lot better. And it looked, they've had a couple pictures of it, and it looks considerably better. Definitely looks like it's been given a new engine.
I mean, the character models look fantastic from what I can tell.
They still hold up really well, better than a lot of games.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this at TGS, because this is going to be a big...
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a big show on a TGS. It always is. It always is with the Yakuza stuff. Yep. I always thought Nagoshi was small, but I bumped into him at TGS, and he was actually taller than me, and I was like, no! No!
Battle.
Yeah, I was quite upset. I always thought
you can try to out-tan him next time.
No, I'm not going to out-tan him, no. But no way, that's impossible.
No one can out-tan Nagoshi. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's not even a real tan, though, right? That's a fake tan.
Is it a spray-on?
Tanner. Yeah, he goes to the sprays.
Excellent. It's a spray.
Awesome.
Because it's bad for his skin, I think he switched.
All right.
She's the man.
Excellent. So he sprays on him, wears clothes from Don Quixote, which is the equivalent of Walmart in the States.
Walmart with a pulse.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, and not only because it's a new Yakuza game, but because of the cities, and I'm looking forward to like bouncing around Nagoya to see how well they've captured Nagoya, my own city.
Actually, there's this there's this pre-bubble high-rise building way out in the middle of nowhere, which like a lot of Yakuza guys live at. I thought that was going to be like one of the places they showed, but now they're going like just central.
It's just central, right? Yeah, well, it's easy to do stuff like that, right?
Central Park. Yeah, and everybody's seen it, so it.
Yeah. So that's something that everyone knows. I mean, if you
I think
live in Japan, you know it
really well.
Oh, it's going to sell extremely well, definitely.
In Japan or the West.
In Japan,
right? I was going to say, well, yeah, having the like the 5 cities in here, yeah, I think it'll sell even more because people will be able to they'll have a connection with the game.
Yeah.
Because this is my city, you know.
I want to see what they did with it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I definitely think it'll sell well.
It's going to feel weird brawling people in places I've literally walked.
Right. I've been to that Konbini before.
I'm going to be tiger punching people in the middle of this park, that I've walked through many times.
Yeah, well, that's pretty awesome. But I think the other thing is having a game in your own backyard. I mean, it doesn't happen often, right?
That's true.
How often does that happen in your own backyard? And maybe it's an insane story, but it's something that you can relate to, and just because.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, it's going to sell well. I just hope that when they do the translation for the West, that all they do is just give you subtitles and then just ship it out as it is.
I mean, I think that's what they've kind of elected to do for the series now. I think they know, Sega started off on the wrong foot with the Yakuza series.
Yes, they did.
But I think they've started to really understand what their fans want. From Yakuza 4 and Yakuza of the End. Like, I did not expect them to bring out Of the End to the West, but
no,
they did.
I mean, because the people who buy a Yakuza game, they want to feel the authenticity of Yakuza Japanese. They want to hear the Japanese. So when they get it translated and it's all Americanized, you lose that whole vibe. You know? So
exactly, yeah.
So yeah, the fans who want to play it, they'd want to have it be authentic with the Japanese voice acting and stuff like that, with just subtitles. Yeah, so I'm just hoping that when Sega do it, that it's not like an 8-month, 9-month window between like the Japanese.
They're getting a
release.
lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Of the End came out when did it come out here in Japan?
Oh God, last year sometime.
Late last year, right?
Yeah, it was late last year. But
I mean, it came out a couple months ago out west. So I mean, they're getting better about that for sure.
We're not 2 games ahead of them anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, we're not. But I just hope that it's obviously not day and date, but hopefully it's just like a month or so behind, because all they have to do is is get the text translated, and that shouldn't take too long for that.
It's just all in, if they can do some good, get the localization process going early, get a couple of drops out early with the bulk of it. If they have to make changes later on, just do it as they're going along. If you've got twice the amount of development time now, there's no reason why they can't build that in the schedule.
Yeah.
Well, surely the game's coming out in... The game was coming out in, December?
Yep.
The script, they've obviously already written and recorded a lot of the script, right? So whatever's already been
for all those cutscenes.
Exactly. So whatever's already been recorded and is basically set in stone, that should be just translated into English straight away.
And I'd be pretty confident that they're already well into that process.
Yeah, I hope so.
They have to, because otherwise it would take forever, because that's a lot of text.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot of text. But yeah, I'm looking forward to TGS, and it's finding its presence at TGS. Because last year, or the year before, when they had Of the End, they had the chicks and the zombies. Remember, Steve? Chicks with guns.
That was probably one of the best get-ups I saw there.
Yeah, they had these 2 chicks with massive guns and a zombie, and they were like ushering this zombie around.
Yeah.
He was walking around, and they were ushering him around, like pushing him in the back
sort
with these guns.
parading him around.
Yeah, it was pretty fun to watch, but yeah, it was pretty cool. So I'm hoping that the presence of TGS will be pretty.
Oh, I'm sure. It's one of Sega's
they did
franchises.
Right. And they've got the hostess stuff again, right?
It wouldn't be a Yakuza game without the hostess stuff.
My question is, will they have host clubs because they have a female main character now? Think about that.
I doubt it, but They may do. I don't know.
Get some double hostess heat.
I mean, you got hostess clubs because you've always had male characters, but if you're going to be controlling a female character as one of the main ones...
That's a good point. That would be really interesting. I'd like to...
I think that'd be fantastic. That would be fascinating. Personally.
Yeah, it would be, but I mean, the majority of people who play this are fellas, right? So do you think they're trying to change the demographic who play it and bring the female audience to it?
Probably not. I think they're going to return the game to its former glory. I think that's what they're shooting for.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, what's next on this Zasshi time agenda, Steve?
Lollipop.
Lollipop?
Lollipop Chainsaw.
Lollipop Chainsaw.
I know it's late, but yeah, okay.
Lollipop Chainsaw.
Okay.
Lollipop.
They've been doing Suda seems to be doing a lot of like public shows in Tokyo as of late.
Yeah, he's pushing this one.
He's pushing it, isn't he?
Yeah. He had the Julie girls. What is it, Julies? Yeah, the Juliet family. He had the two main chicks.
Wait. There's two?
Well, they have two.
They have the Japanese one, and they have the
foreign.
American one.
Oh, right. Okay, I thought there was two chicks in the game. I was going to say, what? I haven't been paying enough attention.
Yeah, so we've got Lollipop Chainsaw, straight from the sick mind, Asura 51. Yep. I'm going to introduce her family of zombie hunters. How about that?
Do it.
So, Juliet's papa. I'm looking at him right here, and looks like he robbed Biff Tannen, the rich version's wardrobe. We're talking cheap zebra print velvet jacket.
Oh, yeah.
With a red shirt underneath. He's sporting huge Mothra butterfly collars.
Huge Mothra.
I'm just making this stuff up as I go, you know. All he needs is gold teeth. So that's Juliet's papa. And then you have Cordelia, and that's her baby sis. And she's this cold-blooded sniper. And, so she's the tough one. And then you got Rosalind, and that's her other baby. Yeah, Rosalind. That's her other baby sis, and she's the mischievous type that tends to get where trouble tends to find her. Inevitably, the people with her, the people that she's with as well.
Right.
So she's gonna trouble on trouble, and then you've got Nick. Nick was the love of her life at Sam Romero High School. It says here that he gathered up the courage to face off with some zombies, but as luck would have it, he got bit by a zombie, and by the time the zombies were finished with him, all that was left was his head.
I thought that the infection hadn't spread to his head, so she cut it off.
I know. Oh, right. So it says they severed. Oh, okay, right. They severed his head. I'm sorry, I'm reading the Japanese as I go.
Okay.
They severed his head before the zombie virus
spread.
Got a chance to get to his head.
Okay.
Which is pretty hardcore.
Yo, Nick is a baller.
I love it.
Imagine saying to your loved one, "I'm just going to chop your head off. Don't worry, you'll be fine."
Put you in this little tube. You'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
But get a load of this. If Juliet and Nick, riding back seat, I guess, come across a zombie with no head, she can plant his head on the zombie and he can help her fight.
What?
Yeah, boy.
Oh, Suda, you crazy.
I love it. This is quintessential Suda.
Do you think it is Suda? Because, I mean, he seems to have so many different projects going. I mean, what project is he actually working on?
I think he just runs in and, spews some whack crap.
He just puts some crap on the table and says, use this some way. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, I would imagine he's got a heavy hand in this. And then you have Morikawa. Morikawa is her weapons master. He's sort of like, James Bond Q?
Right, Q,
Q.
Yeah, Q. And let's see here, and she's got okay. And of course, then you have the title pop Lollipop Chainsaw, and Oh, and it just shows here, no, her chainsaw is not made of lollipops. There's just a factual correction blurb here.
Well, that sucks.
And the lollipops are not made out of chainsaws either.
That also sucks.
So yeah, apparently Juliet likes both chainsaws and lollipops. In comes in the Stand By Me Lollipop song. You could play that in the background if you want. So while she's mowing down zombies, she will often have a lollipop in her mouth. It says here that she doesn't like the lollipop. Wait, she doesn't like to just lick the lollipop. She also likes to garigami kami kudaite tabe. She likes to chomp straight through the lollipop.
How many licks does it take to get to a
Right.
Tootsie
She's
Pop?
not a chomper, she's a licker, in other
The
words.
world may never know.
The world may never know. Unless you buy the game. Yeah, I don't advise chomping right through.
Not on the first go. You need to, suck it a little bit first, right?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
I don't know.
That's as far as all the information I have. But I like her father. I think he's the coolest dude.
Are you going to pick this up, anybody?
I am, definitely.
You
I
are?
like Suda's games.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick this one up.
Okay.
It looks like it's been localized really well. It was written by
I don't think I want to pick it up.
James Gunn, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I want to pick the Japanese one up because it's probably censored to all hell.
You have to get the special edition pre-order.
It doesn't matter because like bubblegum rainbow stuff comes out of people instead of blood.
No,
anyway.
but was it Shadow of the Damned? The Japanese version was cut to hell.
Yeah, it was.
And so is it the same thing going to happen with this? Do I import it? What? I don't know.
Probably PlayAsia.com. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter where I get it from, but I'm just wondering if it's going to be cut. Because if it's going to be cut, I don't want to buy the Japanese one, and that's not good because I'm not putting money into the Japanese industry, you know?
Yeah, no mention so far of that.
Because, I mean, yeah.
Oh, so, okay, there's apparently a couple versions of the game. There's, the edited Japanese version, but I guess they're also releasing, a premium version that's, for the exact same price as the standard version. And the premium one will be rated Z and have all the stuff, all the American violence and all that stuff. Whereas the regular version will just be the typical Japanese censored version.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it right now as well.
Yeah.
On the Japanese site.
And they're the same price, too. So
The premium version is, 18 years and older.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like it. That's a smart way of doing it.
And it comes with English or Japanese voices, too. So you get a better package.
Okay, so if I just get the premium edition, that's not a problem then?
Yeah, apparently.
And this
Okay.
is coming out in June 14th, by the way.
Yeah. That's a week after Tokyo Jungle, right? So from insanity to more insanity, right?
Pretty much.
Exactly.
This game looks really
Looks
far. The
crazy.
cutscenes look really good.
I want it.
It looks quite stupid, but yeah, I'm all up for it. I'm up for it. Okay, Lollipop Chainsaw next. What have we got next? Aha, ha ha ha.
Yes.
Soul Sacrifice.
Ha ha.
Yes, give it to me.
Give it to me. Take your pants off, boy.
So, on May 10th, there was a Sony presser, and so Keiji Inafune got on stage. We're very happy to see him connected with a specific game, by the way. I'm really happy.
Library.
Instead of a freaking library. God, that was a low point. Glad we're all beyond that. And so he was up there with our man Shuhei Yoshida, the pres of SCE.
Right.
And it was right when the credits came up. It said, Keiji Inafune, the conceptor. He conceptualized this. So he's the biological parent of this game. It's not like just the people he hired is making it. He showed off a trailer, and then he showed off some single play, and then he showed off some multiplayer. And wow, this game is coming this winter, right?
Correct, this winter.
And the game starts with, "Are you prepared to give your life to attain greater power?" It's just, and you're like, "What?" And you guys see what happened? so there's this hooded dude, and he sticks his whole fist into his mouth.
Right.
He went so far in, and in the next shot, he's ripping the spinal cord out of his mouth, and obviously evidently the magic is already taking effect because it looks like it's big enough to like come from an African elephant, such a huge spinal cord, and he uses it to vanquish the monster, and then he dies on the spot, which goes back to this like, are you prepared to give up your life to attain greater power, which seems to be the ongoing theme. Like most games out there, when you cast magic, like Ni no Kuni, just you've got mana points. Right. This game, you have to sacrifice part of you for this powerful magic, which is, I don't know, it's kind of original.
Well, apparently too, it's not even just your own body parts. You can also like sacrifice things that you find as
inanimate objects, trees, and whatnot.
Your friend,
for lesser power things,
or your friend,
Right? Yeah, you can. There's a part in the game where it says "gisei suruka, kyusai suruka," which is sacrifice or spare, and the choice you make determines like what you'll get. It was kind of like a BioShock-ish a little bit, with like whether you harvest or not to harvest, and they're still a little sparse on the details. But yeah, as you say, you can get like spoils of combat from the person, and then you can use those for magic and stuff like that. But you can sacrifice them as like the ultimate sacrifice to gain major power, or like the power emits from them, right?
Yeah.
So like it will self-immolate in this huge ball of fire, and then it will engulf like this huge monster boss.
It's like the salamander, I think, is what that one is called. They like light on fire and turn into this huge thing. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, really, I don't know. It's reminded me of like something on a Clive Barker.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit of like I don't know, Cenobite. Very Pinheadish. Just disgusting.
Though I will say the in-game visuals versus the actual artwork. I know there was a lot of people voicing concern that it would just be like super, super, super gory because the concept art is disgusting, But like the in-game stuff, he's still pulling a spine out of his body, but because it's like the in-game engine and the way you're looking at it, it doesn't look nearly as bad as like the artwork of the guy with his entire arm down his mouth. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
slowly pulling it out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not nearly that like gross, which is probably a good thing for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, I mean that was just the cutscenes, and you can't really see that from in-game anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But yeah, it does look sick, but in a good way.
Yeah,
it's a video game, man. It's not real.
It didn't churn my stomach.
No, not at all.
I was right. Yeah, I just like this whole idea of blood sacrifices, that you have to make to cast powerful spells, and that mana points don't exist.
Yeah.
And then the whole idea of that, the people that there's this whole dark arts of self-sacrificial magic. You're in a desperate situation. You have desperate measures. Are you willing to sacrifice your arm or something to kill these people and come out alive? But I think the whole idea is that these giant grotesque monsters, this is kind of Shadow of the Colossus here, but these end bosses were once human, and they're hungry for this power, and they're willing to pawn off their bodies to gain this power through this self-sacrificial magic until they're completely unrecognizable.
Yeah, they go too far.
Right. But then deep down inside, just as you're about to kill them, their human life force returns, and then they're like screaming, "All I want to do is be with my family." There's this grotesque monster dying before you, and then then humanity returns.
You can choose whether or not you want to like
save them or
kill them as well.
Right. I'm kind of interesting how it plays out.
But this is a 4-player multiplayer, right? Online.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
The multiplayer looked really good.
Yeah, it did. Against that giant monster. Ugh.
So, it's just like the screen, like the like, I just want to hear the sounds of my children or something like that. And it's coming across the screen in like this black wavy font.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's like Kodomo no koi kikitai. I just want to hear like the sweet voice of my child. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah, it is different, but I don't know. Do you pull any comparisons from Monster Hunter at all?
I mean, okay. So this is a tough one because Monster Hunter has kind of ingrained itself in the DNA of Japanese
society. You mean
society, life? But I mean, yeah, like we haven't seen enough to really make too many close comparisons. But there's a 4-player mode, and there are monsters that you like cooperatively kill. But
they said though it's not co-op.
Yeah, it doesn't.
They made a point. It's that you're fighting side by side with the player, and you're there because it makes tactical sense to fight together, but you're not co-oping.
Exactly, and that comes down to the whole sacrificing thing, and we don't know how that system works yet when it comes to sacrificing other people and stuff like that. But I mean, it seems to me that this isn't loot based, because I mean, the big draw of Monster Hunter is like getting the next big piece of gear and making yourself look like a total badass, but it doesn't look like that's really the end goal for this. And I think that makes all the difference.
So what do you think you're going to be shooting for?
I don't know. It seems like there's more of a narrative in this. Like the whole idea that like you're basically the slave to this evil mage. And
right. You find this book, this tomb in your cage as you're just waiting to be sacrificed for this mage in his own dark arts type thing.
And like you live through like certain events that have gone down in history and stuff, I think is the idea.
Right. When you open the book, you experience everything, all the main characters in the stories first person. Yeah. And that's how the story plays out.
Which automatically is a little bit more narratively focused than the Monster Hunter series.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, they could really go anywhere with this. It could be more of like not to draw this comparison, but more of like the Demon Souls style of storytelling.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like that more like, I don't know, like the kind of dark fantasy sort of thing.
Do you find, because in the multiplayer, it looks like you can sacrifice the people that you're playing with?
Yes.
Is that something that is you think is interesting? Where if you think, oh, he's going to die, so let's sacrifice him anyway. And
I think that's fascinating. Yeah.
Like, right. So
he's not gonna. It's not like he's going to die anyway because you can save him, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
But no, I mean, you say for instance, like you're fighting a boss, and there's 4 of you wailing on this boss, but one of the people who you're fighting with, his energy is all the way down and he's about to die. But then you could sacrifice him and use him as a weapon, right?
Right.
Yeah.
To fight this boss. So
the thing is, I think
how do you think that mechanic's going to work?
You can save him, give him like one over to him and aid him, or kill him. Was the way I processed it. I don't know.
So if you kill so say for instance you kill me, you sacrifice me in game. What do I do next? Am I out the game completely? I would doubt that they would, like, you would die. I think you would just not get any experience or any loot for that battle, I would imagine.
Yeah, I know they haven't gone into detail about that yet, but they have stated that you can like vote as a group to like
finish somebody off, right?
Yeah,
but once you finish him off, does that mean I'm out of the game completely and I have to go find new people, or what?
I think that would be a big oversight.
If you just that's taking it too far.
Yeah.
Or do they just say, okay, well, you got sacrificed, so you don't get any points?
I think that's I would think you get no experience and no loot.
Yeah.
I don't know, just rationally figuring that out as a game mechanic.
I mean, there's got to be a benefit, for you to actually want to do it as well, too, is the thing. Like, there's a few ways they could go wrong with this, but I feel like there's a lot of ways they could do it really.
It's got to be to the point where it's not that. I mean, obviously, a big battle doesn't come that often, so when it does, you want to get your experience, and you'd be pretty pissed if you didn't.
Yeah.
So you're probably not trusting any of each other a bit going in. If it's, I don't know, it's probably like a really powerful enemy, and if you don't use this magic, it's going to be really hard to beat them, right?
Mm.
True. Okay, fair enough. So
it's pretty nice, so that it's all magic based.
They said winter though, right? I mean, yes, that could be January, February next year.
I thought it was December.
It just says winter, right?
I think they just said winter.
Okay.
It could be next year, for all we know.
Yeah, that's fine. That's still pretty early.
Think so? Just like 8 months
I think
away.
December versus like January isn't a huge deal to me, but I think they would want to make it for the Christmas and New Year's sales.
Mm-hmm.
Is what common sense is telling me, but who knows?
Okay, well, anyways, let's move on. We've done Zasshi time, it sounds like it.
Yes.
When we finish off with the podcast, we normally go into some tweets.
Oh.
So, right, okay, so Crackalack and Z, we always start off with one of his tweets. And his tweet was from, I think it was just before we were about to record episode 38, but we didn't because I had to go back to the UK. And he asks what's your all-time favorite okashi, or Japanese
I didn't give this any thought.
I got this one.
Mine's senbei.
Ooh, okay.
Mine's
cheap, tasty.
Yeah. Actually, the ones with the like the white sugar.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah, they're very good. They're cheap. You can go to like Lawson Hyakuyen shop.
Yeah.
And pick up a whole bag of them for for Hyakuyen for 100 yen. They're good.
Mine is probably Dango.
Dango?
Dango, yeah.
Okay. Dango.
I'm probably going to go with Kyoto matcha.
Oh.
Green tea.
Delicious.
Think about like parfaits, green tea parfaits and whatnot.
So good.
Sophisticated, eh?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going to come out with like some like crisps or chips or candy or something, but no, you pulled the matcha.
Full matcha. Matcha.
Yeah.
Matcha.
Damn. Okay, cool. What's next? Tokyo Jungle. Is it going to get a European release date? That's from Anthony.
I feel like I read somewhere.
I do too.
Okay, yeah. Definitely been confirmed for a Europe.
Has it? Is that download or disc?
I got a tweet about this a while ago by somebody.
Okie dokie.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared.
I'm not meant to be prepared. It's quite funny. I like to see people's reactions to stuff like this. E3 on a whole, do you think Japanese gamers are hyped about E3? I mean, are they F5ing during E3 conferences or what?
Not after what Phil Fish did. No way.
I don't know. I mean, Hachima, the typical Japanese blogs will cover it and regurgitate news. So, I mean, I don't know.
That was a question from Snap. He just wonders whether or not Japanese gaming.
Well, I mean, like Famitsu, they always send a retinue of guys over to cover it, and they do some videos and whatnot.
I mean, they get the coverage just like we do when Tokyo Game Show goes on. So
yeah, but I mean, like, say for instance, your local video game store, will they have like stuff all over the store, like saying like, oh, this is coming, this has got a release date, this is how much this is going to cost and stuff like that. I mean, do they hype everything up? Because my local store does. My local store's got Reggie all over the place. My body is ready pictures and stuff like that.
Weird.
Yeah, Miyamoto pictures. They had Master Chief doing some stuff as well. They had Obama saying like, yes we can and stuff like that. It was quite funny. Yeah, it was nuts. My local video game store is quite crazy. But yeah, my local video game store definitely hypes the hell out of E3. And as soon as like E3 comes and they announce prices and release dates, that store is really a lot of customers come and start pre-ordering stuff. So like as soon as it's released, say for instance they'll release details on Wii U, and they'll give you as a price and a date of its launch. That store will be full of people pre-ordering.
Huh. So
I don't know about other stores, but I know that store does. Because I'm always one of the first people to go as well. So I'm normally in a queue. There's normally a line of people like pre-ordering, like the morning. I mean, as soon as the store opens, there's a line of people waiting to get in to pre-order, which I don't see often. I don't know. Did you see that around where you are?
Nothing around these parts.
No. Okay. Maybe it's because it's not an actual like a chain store. You know, this is like...
yeah, that's true. It's just kind of its own thing.
It's its own thing, yeah. I mean, it's got its own, like... it's got its own little community and stuff.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Is that the place I think... I know you're talking about,
Dancing Bear.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that place has got a nice pulse to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think people do get hyped for it. F5 and websites? No idea. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's impossible to know.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to a bunch of Japanese people. So
I mean, you don't get, like we get a lot of foreigners who go over to Tokyo Game Show, but I don't think you get the other way around so much.
Yeah. I mean, Famitsu, like you said, Famitsu will send their guys over, but...
You don't have, like, 50 different magazines sending people over, right?
Exactly, yeah.
No, I mean...
Dengeki, Famitsu.
Like Kotaku Japan and, like, GameSpot Japan, they'll have their own little correspondence, or they'll just regurgitate...
Kotaku as well.
Yeah, they'll just regurgitate the Western news and just translate it into Japanese. And then put a Japanese spin on it, you know. But other than that, I have no idea. I mean, when I was at E3, I did see a lot of Japanese people filming from magazines and stuff. I guess Famitsu and the PlayStation and Xbox magazines, but I don't know if it's you know. I mean, when you see like TGS, as you said before, there's a lot of Westerners there. You can tell, but it's not nearly as packed with Japanese as TGS is. Anyways,
just to go back.
Speaking of E3, though, I got all my credentials. Makes me sad. I got all my press pass for I got the press pass for E3 itself to get in. I got my Nintendo press conference invite. I got my Xbox invite. I got my Sony invite. I can't go. So depressing, just sitting there looking at all these emails going, oh, I'm not going. And every day my inbox gets full up of people saying, do you want to make a reservation for whatever we're showing? I'm like, I'd like to. I ain't going.
It's okay, man. Tokyo Game Show.
Do it over video chat, video camera.
Yeah, so no, it's just really depressing looking at all these emails and other stuff like press passes and stuff that I've got, but I cannot use. And some people have said, well, can you not pass them to me? Well, no, because you need your driver's license and stuff, because it's all registered to me. It's got my name all over it. It's not like you can just, you know, if I showed up to the Nintendo one, I have to show my driver's license.
I don't think you want to send them that.
No. Anybody got any bizarre E3 predictions?
Lots of Vita games, please. That's not really a prediction, but...
Death threat.
It's more of a death threat, a plea, you know, maybe a prayer.
But they seriously need to do something about it, because the the Vita is dying.
It's flatlining.
I mean,
guys.
In Japan,
we don't know how much digital sales they're getting, though.
Yeah, but the console sales.
The console sales are disgusting. They're like 6,000 units a week, and that's a death of a system.
I mean, I said it before. June is going to be the first mountain in their sort of counterattack, because that's when they're actually getting bigger games. I think Persona 4 is probably going to shift quite a few units. You know, stuff like Gundam Seed will sell to the Gundam fans, and we've seen how well the Gundam property can sell here.
Yes.
Metal Gear is more of a question mark, but I personally waited so that I could have it on my Vita.
All right, you and Medi as well, right?
But I mean, you know, that's 3 pretty high-profile Vita titles next month.
In the month of May, there was not one game. Well, one game was released, but that was also a free MMO download you could buy.
Samurai and Dragons.
Samurai and Dragons, but there was also a paid version of it where you got all of the gear that you can buy as DLC, right?
Yeah.
But actually, in the month of May, nothing.
Nothing. So June is the beginning, so hopefully they can get their stuff together. I know Hatsune Miku Project Diva is going to sell in August for sure. That's going to sell really well.
Well, that also comes with the white, crystal white.
You have the new Vita color, and you have the limited edition Miku one.
Yeah,
and that game is going to ship consoles, I think, as well. So summer is looking pretty okay for them.
Well, Kyle has pre-ordered the Hatsune Miku.
I tried to, but could not find a store that still had pre-orders.
My store's still got them. You want me to try?
You know what? Yeah, that'd be cool, actually.
All right, I'll check. But yeah, Kyle's pre-ordered the Hatsune Miku. The crystal white one is June 28th.
Yes.
Do you think that's gonna?
Right. Yeah.
Do you think that
might very well boost sales? I think.
Because I remember when the pink 3DS came out, the sales of the pink 3DS, the sales of the 3DS jumped.
Yeah.
When the pink one came out, I don't know if that's gamers.
There's some things they have this summer at least. I mean, the summer's looking pretty okay for them, so hopefully E3 will give them the boost they need.
Where's the PS1 games?
Yeah, seriously, right?
Right.
Oh God.
E3, they need to come out guns blazing.
It's got to be a flood.
And I also think that Sony need to tell developers that if you're going to be doing a Vita game as well as the PS3 game, they need to be able to. You need to be able to save on your Vita and then carry on the PS3, and then vice versa, save on the PS3 and then carry on with.
That's a missed out opportunity.
They need to do that. They need
needs to be
do
for
that.
every single game.
Yeah, and also I think in the budget, when they budget these games, that they should budget the PS3 version and the Vita game together. So when they sell the game can be sold as the PS3 and the Vita game as one price.
Right.
Yeah, that would be great.
If they're able to do it as one price instead of spending $100,
that'd be amazing.
Essentially,
that's gamers' heaven.
Essentially, you're spending $100 on one game where you pay $60 for the PS3 version and $40 for the Vita. They shouldn't be doing that. It should be one price with both together.
Yeah, I don't know if Sony's ever going to do that. But
they need to do that.
They need to do something drastic. They need to have a flood of games.
Well, it needs to be game changer, right? Sony keeps saying game changer.
Yeah, that hashtag got ironic real quick.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they need to step up and do something like this to show.
There's no way they don't realize that they need to do something fast. I mean, don't have to be a genius to see the media create sales every week, you know?
No, exactly.
You can't spin 6,000 units into like a good thing. Like there is no spinning that. It is
absolutely not. Although saying that though, the thing that you could spin it, saying that the sales of the PSP are subsidizing what they're not selling for the Vita, because how much does it cost them to make a PSP now? It's got to be cheap, right?
Pennies, yeah.
Exactly, and they're still selling like 12,000 units a week.
Yeah, though that system seems like it's on its way out too. Because those numbers are dropping pretty quickly.
Yeah, they're dropping pretty quickly, but still, they're still selling. I mean, from a games machine which has been on the market for 7 years.
Wow,
everybody's still playing it on the train.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, no one's got the Vita out.
I'm still playing my PSP games.
I've seen one Vita in the wild.
I haven't seen one yet.
Right? No, I've seen one, and it was a kid.
You're right. I have not seen one ever.
I've not seen a single one.
Jesus.
Right? And here's the thing. I still see more PSPs than I see 3DSs down here.
I see a lot of 3DSs now, though.
Yeah,
I see 3DSs, but I'd say the PSP isn't like... I'd say it's pretty close.
iOS games is pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, every week you go to the every week I go to the video game store just to check out to see what's coming out, and the amount of PSP games is unbelievable.
Yeah, it has a killer library.
Oh yeah, it definitely has got a killer library, but it's unbelievable that these developers have decided, no, we're not going to release a Vita title. We're just going to.
It's just amazing that people are carrying on with the PSP.
Right?
That to me is just what? What are you doing? I don't know.
Well, the reason what they'll be doing there is they see how many units they've sold, and they say, "Well, we've got."
No. I mean the consumer, not the company.
Obviously, well,
they have all these UMDs.
They're happy with it. They're happy with the unit. They're happy with the hardware. I mean, otherwise they wouldn't be playing it. They would have moved on. But they're happy with it, and they're happy to use it as their gaming platform of choice, I guess.
They still get new games.
Yeah, they get new games. I mean, I think Sony needs to also
reminds me of the
drop the prices of their downloadable PSP games as well to entice people with Vitas to download PSP games.
Because PSP games look amazing on the Vita, you know? Like,
yeah.
I was playing Type 0 the other day again, Final Fantasy Type 0. I picked it up, and it just looks gorgeous on the Vita screen. Like I could never play it on the PSP anymore because it just looks so good on the Vita. And I feel like they need to be pushing that too.
Yeah, so Sony obviously they need to come out guns blazing, and then they need to show that they're very serious about this. Obviously, this serious problem they've caused themselves with
completely
very, very little voice. They haven't said anything. They've just kept quiet this whole time.
Yeah.
They said at the start, like there'll be a quality game every month, but there hasn't. They never said anything. Yep. They said, PS1 games are coming, but it's been quiet forever.
It's almost been half a year at this point.
I'm looking forward to Nintendo Wii U, actually.
I am not.
You're not? I always look forward to Nintendo's hardware because Nintendo always do something different, whether or not you like it or not.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it in that sense, like out of morbid curiosity.
Right.
And I love their handhelds, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you know that they're going to do something different, right? They're going to bring something slightly different to the table, and that's what I like. I like this. Well, it's like I'm like a little kid in a candy store. It's like I'm excited.
The next generation stuff, though, for Sony and Xbox, I mean, I don't know. Doesn't look like they're going to make a huge leaps and bounds. So it seems like Nintendo's got the most interesting thing for right now.
The question is, though, hardware is great, but will there be games? Is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and the
Wii failed me on that in the late end of its life.
But you know that when Nintendo get with something, they run with it for a decent amount of time. I mean, the games that they did produce were awesome. Like Mario Galaxy 2, 1 and 2 were great. The Kirby games are awesome. You know,
I mean, that's the thing. Is like Nintendo games are great, but
pretty few and far between.
They're few and far between, and the majority of everything else that's not Nintendo is typically not very good.
Yeah, well, you don't buy that stuff though, right? I mean,
that's the thing though, is that if I'm for the next generation, I don't know how much these consoles are going to cost, but they already said the Wii U isn't going to be cheap.
It can't be cheap.
It's not going to be cheap. And if I'm going to buy an expensive console, I want to have all those games. You know, I want to have like just I don't know off the top of my head like the Assassin's Creeds and all of those games and all these third-party titles. I don't want to just have a Nintendo system. You know what I mean? Like I did that this generation with the Wii. The Wii was like my Nintendo system for my Nintendo games. But I would never.
I'm totally okay with that.
Well, I mean, I bought a Wii like a couple weeks after it first came out, for the entirety of its lifespan, it was like a supplementary system. Like if I didn't own a PS3 and only owned a Wii, I think I would have been significantly.
Well, yeah, I think most people feel that way, right?
And I'm saying Wii U can't be that if it's going to be expensive. Because the Wii was already cheap to begin with. I mean, comparably, you know?
Right.
Well, on the Wii U, you're already getting games that the Wii wouldn't entertain anyway, like the Batman, Assassin's Creed.
I'm wondering, is this just going to be another GameCube, though? Because, I mean, that's what the GameCube was an attempt to bring third parties on board, and that also didn't really work all that well. I mean, financially, I think it'll definitely be a success. I just don't know if it'll appeal to me personally. It's the thing.
Well, I'll still be buying it day one anyway because I'm just morbid curiosity to see what they're going to do with it. You know,
I probably will too. I mean, that's how it always rolls.
I mean, I
probably get something good though. I think straight away they learned their lesson.
I mean,
the 3DS. They have to have.
Before the 3DS, though, they also said they learned their lesson. Like, I don't know.
But I think they definitely learned a lesson with this because
I think they definitely did.
I mean, yeah,
they've repeated it over and over again. They've done a lot of self-reflection. They've been pretty vocal that they screwed up.
That's very true.
I reckon it's going to be $400.
It's got to be because it's going to be more expensive than the 3DS for sure.
Well, they can't sell it for the same price or a similar price to their handheld because that doesn't make any sense at all.
And they already said it's going to be more expensive than the Wii was at launch. I think something along those lines.
What was that? Was $300?
It was $250, I think.
Was it $250?
Yeah, $250. So there's no way it's only going to be like $50 more.
I'm gonna go with $399.
Yeah. So, but they already said they're not going to reveal a price point at E3. So,
they're not.
They did say that shortly after they said.
Because I remember last time at E3, they when they did the 3DS, I think Iwata said that, thank you, games journalists or something. You've basically priced it for us, the $250. Because I think everyone was saying, yeah, we'll buy that for $250. Glasses free, 3D. So they were like, yeah, okay, we'll price it $250. But that didn't pan out so well, did it? But yeah, I think they've definitely learned that lesson.
Though I will say, I think 250 could have panned out just fine if they had
a launch line.
Big if, right.
If they had the Marios, that 250 would probably still be 250 right now. They didn't have the games, and so no one wanted the system.
I thought the thing is that it was sort of planned that way. I mean, they didn't think they needed them up front,
which is so silly to me.
I know.
Why do these companies all...
They were sniffing their own glue.
That mistake. Yeah. Like, every single generation, it's the same mistake over and over again.
Right. So you think that they're going to come to the plate with everything they've got at E3? Is that everything they're going to have for launch?
They need $1 million selling. I mean, million.
They need their big guns at launch.
Million seller titles.
So you think there's a Mario game coming and a Zelda game coming?
There needs to be a Mario at least. I mean, Zelda isn't their big seller here in Japan.
No, it's not.
As far as Mario is concerned, there really needs to be a Mario at launch.
A Mario Kart?
1.4, 1.5.
An F-Zero? Are they going to just regurgitate all of their old titles again?
I mean, that's kind of what they do.
I know that's Nintendo.
To be fair.
But they're quality titles, though. It's not like they're junk.
No, exactly. I mean, regurgitating, I feel like, is a word that you kind of associate with negatives. But I think on the whole, most people will generally agree that, their first-party titles are quality.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's why I have a Wii in the first place, is because I know that Nintendo's first-party titles are quality, and I know that I'm going to enjoy them. So, to me, that's worth it. To have the system is worth it just for the Nintendo IP. Whether or not it's another Mario game, it's another Mario Kart, to me, it's worth it because those games are such quality.
Yeah, they need to nail that price, and there needs to be a Mario at launch. It's not a hard concept. Like, they gotta get that out.
Would you be happy if it was like Mario Galaxy 2.5?
I mean, something
with the tablet integration?
I think it needs to be an original Mario game. Because they know when this system is coming out internally, probably, like, they should know way ahead in advance that they need to have, one of their big guns at launch.
Right.
And you would think they would schedule it in such a way and time it in such a way that, like, they have the ability to develop that game for launch. They did it with Super Mario 64. I mean, come on.
I mean, I totally agree with you, and I'm hoping that that's what they're going to do because obviously, as I said before, they've learned by their mistakes.
Yeah.
So
prove it to me, Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to drop the money. I just want them to
something to play.
Yeah.
Something good to play, not just shovel around.
I mean, if let's just say worst case scenario here, let's say they didn't learn their lesson. Let's say it's a $400 unit or something ridiculous, and they don't have a big pushing killer app. I mean, would you want to put yourself through that whole thing again?
Yeah. It's a Nintendo machine. I buy every system, whether or not. I want that initial joy of, new system, open the box and smell a new plastic. I want that. It's part of the experience, it's
you don't want to be left out either.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a tech head. I'm a nerd. I like video games. I like new things. I like toys. I like shiny things,
Yeah.
But not being part of that is like, that's when a part of me dies. I got to be a part of that. I've been a part of that since, PlayStation. I came to Japan for PlayStation 1.
Right.
94.
Yes, you did. I remember that story.
And then I came to Japan again for PlayStation 2. And I was in Japan for Dreamcast. So I'm always part of it. Whether or not it's got titles I want at the start, I normally try and hold off. Well, I could hold off in the past because obviously being single and that, it was easier. But now with a family, it's sometimes difficult to drop that kind of money. But yeah, so E3, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
it's
excited.
What time does it start in Japan? It's like, in the middle of the night, right? Or is it in the morning?
I mean, it opens, like 10 in the morning or something?
So, yeah, it's going to be like 2 o'clock start in Japan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to be sitting up with your popcorn ready and your tissues?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Might have to whip out the projector.
Yeah, seriously.
Is that a metaphor?
No. Whip out the projector.
What would that be a metaphor for?
He's going to get whip his projector out?
I don't even want to pursue this.
That's wrong. Let's go.
Moving on.
Wrap it up.
Shut it. Anyways, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. So, do you want to plug your site, Elliot?
Sure. So I'm actually an associate editor over at one of Destructoid's sister sites called Japanator.com. And we deal mostly in anything involving Japan, so, anime, manga, weird Japanese news. I handle a lot of import stuff.
What's the craziest news you've done recently?
Craziest news I've done. A while back, I did a little article about Yakuza in Fukuoka who are throwing grenades at one another instead of using guns.
I've seen the signs.
Yeah, I've seen the sign in person before. It's crazy.
Is that also so that you can hand in your grenades to the police? And
if you see a grenade, you know to stay away from it.
No, it's not only that. You can hand them in to the police and they won't charge you if you hand it in.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, you mean without the pin pulled, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. But so www.japanator.com. Check it out. It's good stuff. And you can follow me at Twitter at Ryoga Saotome, Ryouga Saotome.
Excellent. Do you have a YouTube channel at all, like Kyle?
No, I do not.
No, you don't. Okay, cool. Steven, what's your Twitter?
Steve, Steve, RedSunG.
Okay, and I'm DJmizuhara, which is DJmizuhara. And you can also follow us on at RedSunGamer on Twitter. We have a YouTube channel, which is RedSunGamerTV. We also have a Twitch TV channel, which we use for live streaming. Now Steven has the capabilities of live streaming directly from his PS3 and his 360.
High def.
He sure does.
Probably going to do a Ni no Kuni video next.
Yes, probably. So you can find us on Twitch TV, Twitch TV /RedSunGamer. We
also just put up a video of Tokyo Jungle that I filmed when I was there. So
yes,
that's there if you want to look at it.
Have a quick look at that. So, yeah, okay, so that was episode 38. We'll be back into the swing again next week. Hopefully Kyle will be joining us, but I'm pretty certain he's moving, so he may not. And when you move in Japan, you have to wait like 3 weeks for your internet connection.
It's internet, right.
So,
that sucks.
So whether or not he's going to be on for the next month, I have no idea. But anyways, thank you for listening. This is episode 38. Let's go to some of this.
Let's go to some of this.